Under a serene, moonlit sky, a grand estate stands eerily quiet, but the silence is shattered by an agonizing scream as a young boy's voice echoes into the night. Mother! Mother! A young Beak Ryan struggles wildly, tears streaming down his face as an older clan member desperately restrains him. An imposing figure, his father, glares back coldly while the boy cries out. What in the world happened here? With a chilling calmness, his father dismisses the tragedy. What are you all doing? Stop making a fuss and leave at once, he orders. Unbelieving, Ryan yells. What are you saying, father? The young boy stares in utter shock, his eyes wide as his father's cruel words sink in. And make sure this incident never leaks outside, the man commands coldly. Turning his back to his heartbroken son, the father delivers the final blow. Our Beakry clan will not seek vengeance for this, he declares. Ryan gasps in horror. Wait, what do you mean by that? His father's face is cast in harsh shadows as he justifies his twisted cowardice. Everything is for the sake of our clan and its greater cause, he states, adding firmly, Beak Ryan, you must not act recklessly for revenge. Ryan chokes on his tears. Fath, Ka. Dragged away by the guards into the dark courtyard, the young boy screams at the retreating back of the man who should have protected them. You can't be serious. Tears of rage and betrayal stream down Ryan's face as he curses his father. To not even utter a word of defiance, let alone avenge your wife's death. How can you call yourself a man? He screams into the night. The horrific realization hits him like a physical blow. The boy delivers his ultimate condemnation. Father, you're not even human. With a heavy, mournful creak, the wooden doors of the estate shut tight. They seal away the tragedy, leaving behind nothing but a lonely scroll resting in a solitary beam of light. Alone in the desolate grounds, a deeply resolved Ryan walks away from the only home he has ever known. I'm leaving, he vows with a darkened gaze. I have no lingering attachments to the Beakry clan anymore. He sprints into the unforgiving darkness, his small frame trembling with a fierce, newfound determination. In my current state, revenge is impossible, he admits. I'll grow strong, so powerful that no one can look down on me. Gritting his teeth, he pushes his body forward, driven by a singular, burning ambition. I'll create a new sect and gather my own people. I'll expand my influence until... Moving with swift, shadowy determination, he embraces the grueling path of a martial artist. I can strike down those involved in my mother's death, and those who knew the truth yet stayed silent. A fierce, unyielding glint flashes in his tear-filled eyes as he makes a lifelong vow. I'll have my revenge, even if it takes decades, so be it. The wheels of time turn relentlessly, forging the boy into a man, 12 years later. Amidst the roaring flames of a burning compound, a man pleads desperately for his life. Wait, I was wrong. Tell the Murim Alliance that too. Standing calmly before the inferno, a now-grown Beak Ryan silently observes his panicked enemy. The terrified bandit shouts, You must want something, right? Say the word, I'll grant whatever you wish. Ryan slowly draws his sword with a soft sliding sound, its pristine blade catching the firelight with a menacing glint. He contemplates the frantic offer with an eerie, composed gaze. Surveying the charred corpses of the fallen scattered around the burning courtyard, the enemy begs, This is a fair offer for you too, isn't it? Ryan smirks softly. Well, there is something I want right now. The rugged bandit's face breaks into a desperate, hopeful grin, believing he has bought his survival. Right, what is it that you want? With a cheerful, almost innocent smile, Ryan drops the punchline. Your life, he answers brightly. The bandit's smile vanishes instantly, replaced by a dark, vein-popping scowl. Hey, that's not a funny joke, he growls. Ryan's eyes narrow into a lethal crescent moon smile. Well then, if you won't give it to me willingly. He levels his blade with a sharp hiss, the roaring fire reflecting off the deadly steel. I'll just take it myself, he promises. The bandit erupts into a furious roar, charging forward with primal, explosive rage. You bastard! How dare you toy with me, Tilda? I'll tear you apart until not even your corpse is recognizable. In a blink, Ryan vanishes and reappears right beside the charging brute, a spectral blue light trailing from his eye. He whispers coldly, Sheesh, your mouth is just as nasty as your face suggests. With a swift, brutal strike, Ryan sends the bandit crashing violently into the ground, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and fire. A heavy, rumbling impact echoes through the burning estate as the dust settles, leaving Ryan staring nonchalantly at the resulting crater. He watches the wreckage with an almost bored expression, completely unfazed by the destructive power he just casually unleashed. Suddenly, the bandit bursts from the smoke, leaping high into the air with a desperate overhead strike. I'll throw your severed head before the Murim Alliance, he screams. Ryan's hand tightens around the hilt of his sword, and golden sparks fly as he prepares a lightning-fast counterattack. With a seamless motion, a brilliant crescent arc slashes through the darkness. The bandit is cut down instantly, his body plummeting heavily toward the earth. The battle won, Ryan stands quietly before the roaring flames of the compound's main gate, his silhouette stark against the destruction. With a loud creak, the heavy wooden doors swing open. Ryan stands victorious, his blood-stained sword bathed in the glowing embers. He casually tosses a weapon to a woman waiting patiently outside. "Grandmaster," she greets him. "He told me to deliver this to you once the job was done." Turning around, Ryan flashes a bright, cheerful smile, his face completely smeared with the evidence of his slaughter. "Ah, thank you, Murim Alliance Tilda. You've been patient. Good work waiting." Murim Alliance, entirely unfazed by the carnage, solemnly hands him a sealed bamboo scroll. "It wasn't a big deal," she replies smoothly. Standing before the burning ruins, Ryan unrolls the scroll, the fire crackling softly in the background as he reads his official orders. With a casual swipe, he wipes fresh blood from his cheek, using it to playfully stamp the document, a literal bloody signature. Gazing at the signed document, a deeply satisfied smirk crosses his face. "So this is the end, or perhaps the beginning," he muses. He playfully tosses the scroll back to Hyoyen with a sharp flick of his wrist. "Deliver this to the Murim Alliance. I'm retiring," he announces gleefully. Walking away from the flames, he cleans the remaining blood from his face with a cloth. Hyoyen asks, "Are you returning to your hometown?" Ryan replies firmly, "Yes, I've accomplished all my goals in the Alliance." Hyoyen watches him go, a hint of admiration in her voice. "Grandmaster, when I retire someday, may I visit you?" Ryan waves dismissively. Of course, of course. Come by any time you feel bored to death." She calls out, halting his steps. "Then you'll have to tell me where to find you." Ryan pauses, the flickering firelight casting dramatic shadows across his face. With a confident, beaming grin, he announces his final destination, Hubei Province, Hwayong County. The scene shifts drastically from the bloody inferno to a serene, sparkling river surrounded by lush green mountains. A small wooden boat glides smoothly across the water with a gentle splashing sound. Resting under a wide straw hat, Ryan takes a deep, peaceful breath of the fresh air. "It's been a long journey," he thinks to himself. His mind drifts back to the tragic night he left everything behind. "I left my clan to grow stronger and joined the Murim Alliance." Memories of his rise to power flash by, a fierce strike of his blade, petals dancing in the wind. "Through the martial arts I developed, I rose to the rank of grandmaster. It's been 12 years since I joined." A sinister, almost villainous grin spreads across his face beneath the shadow of his hat. "Finally, I'm ready to establish my own sect." He playfully clutches a heavy sack of silver with greedy delight. "I've saved enough money to buy an estate, and just in time the perfect property came up for sale. Everything's going smoothly." His shoulders tremble as he tries, and spectacularly fails, to suppress a booming laugh, completely weirding out the poor boatman rowing him across the river. "Ha ha ha." Unable to hold it back, he strikes a dramatic pose, pointing to the heavens like a madman. "Truly, the heavens are aiding me," he roars. The boatman chuckles nervously, sweating slightly. "Ho-ho, you seem quite cheerful today." Ryan instantly regains his composure, flashing an embarrassed smile. "Ah, pardon me, I got a little carried away." He proudly pats his chest, the boat creaking gently underneath him. "Haha, I'm on my way to sign the contract for the estate that'll become the foundation of my lifelong dream, my own sect," the boatman nods. "Oh, so you're the young sect master, I see." The boatman's face suddenly turns grim, a dark shadow passing over his eyes. "But the only property for sale around here is, don't tell me, the haunted one." Ryan, lost in his own fantasy world, asks oblivious, "Why are you muttering to yourself?" Quickly brushing it off, the boatman smiles weakly. "Ah, no, it's nothing. I wish you success in your founding." Ryan laughs brightly, completely oblivious. "Ha ha ha, thank you. It's just a contract. What could possibly go wrong?" The boat continues its peaceful journey, Ryan's triumphant laughter echoing across the tranquil waters. "Ha ha ha, Tilda." Fast forward to land. Ryan stares blankly, a massive bead of sweat dropping down his face as the crushing reality of his purchase sets in. Huh. Standing before a massive, desolate, and heavily weathered estate, Ryan deadpans, "This is the place." The eager broker next to him gestures grandly. "Yes, impressive, isn't it? Quite spacious, isn't it?" With blinding speed, Ryan grabs the broker by the collar, his eyes practically glowing with scam victim rage. "It's been a while, but have you lost your sense of business? Are you seriously trying to scam me?" The broker panics. "No, this place was really hard to find. Let's just take a look around first before deciding." As they walk through the dilapidated courtyard, the broker coughs nervously. Ryan glares at the overgrown weeds. "Not only has it not been cleaned, it hasn't been maintained at all." The broker stammers. Well, I'll explain once we finish the tour. They overlook the massive, sprawling grounds as the broker points out the features, desperately trying to salvage his pitch. Including the main and annex buildings, there are 45 rooms in total, 5 training grounds in all, 4 small, 1 large, plenty to divide by purpose. Ryan is genuinely impressed by the sheer scale. It's rare to see 5 training grounds. What sect used to occupy this place? The broker shrugs, sweating bullets. That I don't know either. The estate's so old its records are long gone. The market's too bad to sell it otherwise. Ryan rubs his chin, his business sense tingling. But hey, with a little work it should be perfect for founding a sect, no? The broker agrees nervously. That's true, however. He turns back to the sweating broker, catching on to the unsaid truth. So what's the catch? The broker forces a laugh. As expected of Beak Ryan, you get straight to the point. The broker nervously rubs the back of his neck. Nothing major, just that every buyer of this estate has died. Ryan freezes, his brain completely short-circuiting. Died. The broker recounts the grim, bloody history of the cursed grounds. They say each buyer died the very night they bought it, hence the rumors of haunting. They even hired guards and exorcists, but to no avail. Yes, with no external injuries, heart failure, every one of them. Ryan immediately shoves the broker away, absolutely appalled. And now you're trying to pass this to me? The broker waves his hands frantically, begging. That's why the price is only 1/10 of the market rate. 5 silver ingots. No, 4's enough. Instantly, Ryan's entire demeanor flips. He pulls out a heavy money pouch with a beaming, terrifyingly greedy smile. Ha ha ha, now that's something you should have mentioned earlier. I almost took it the wrong way, my friend. The broker happily hands over a thick wooden scroll case, visibly relieved. As expected of Beak Ryan, the former grandmaster of the Azure Sky Corps, ghosts don't scare you, huh? Here, take the deed. Ryan grabs the heavy scroll. A sharp mechanical hum suddenly resonates from the wooden object, making his eyes widen in complete surprise. A glowing blue, holographic system window materializes in thin air right before his eyes, confirming transfer of property deed. Ryan shudders visibly, thoroughly spooked by the hovering text. The broker notices his twitch and asks, What's wrong? Ryan quickly regains his composure, waving it off. No, it's nothing. The broker flashes a quick peace sign, backing away as fast as his legs can carry him. Anyway, my job here is done. If you're still alive by tomorrow morning, come find me. Ryan nods dryly. Sure thing, I'll do that. Ryan casually leans against the heavy wooden gate, watching the broker scurry away like a man fleeing a graveyard. Alone at last, Ryan turns back to face his massive, allegedly haunted new home. He lets out a deep, tired sigh. And then he bursts into an ecstatic, ridiculously happy dance right in the middle of the empty courtyard. At last, my very own estate. He gleefully smacks a wooden pillar, sending a massive cloud of dust into the air. Perfect. Now all that's left is finding disciples. The pillar immediately crumbles, burying him under a heavy pile of dirt and cobwebs. Coughing, he reconsiders his priorities. But first, I should probably clean the place. And so the legendary grandmaster begins his most grueling trial yet. Intense house chores. He scrubs the wooden floors with lightning speed, darting back and forth. Masked up like a silent assassin, he aggressively dusts the intricate wooden beams with a feather duster, striking the corners with a sharp rhythm. Wiping down the heavy wooden doors, he smiles with deep satisfaction, admiring his handiwork as the aged wood begins to shine once more. Carrying a wooden bucket down the grand staircase, he wipes the sweat from his brow. The main hall's the last part. He kicks the grand doors to the main hall open with a loud thud, the warm light of dusk spilling inside. Let's finish this up quickly. But as the dust settles, his eyes lock onto a lone, pristine sword resting ominously on a wooden stand in the center of the empty hall. What's that? He approaches the elegant weapon cautiously, rubbing his chin in thought. Did the previous owner forget to take it? He eagerly draws the blade just a few inches with a soft metallic ring. A beautiful, glowing blue light emanates from the steel. What a lucky find! Oh ho, this might fetch a decent price. Suddenly, an intense, blinding flash of blue energy erupts from the sword, completely filling his vision. When the intense light finally fades, Ryan finds himself standing in a massive, hyper-modern, glowing blue arena. He looks around in complete bewilderment. Where am I? Another holographic window pops up before him. Examiner, Warrior. Objective, Establish Sect. Overall evaluation, Class 2. Highest rating in Examiner history. Ryan stares in utter disbelief, muttering, What the? Before he can even process the bizarre text, the sharp sound of something cutting through the air violently alerts his senses. A tiny metal projectile grazes his cheek with a vicious hiss, drawing a single drop of blood. Pure instinct takes over. Ryan draws the glowing sword in a flash, smashing a second incoming projectile into the floor with a heavy, explosive crash. The system window chimes again, adapting coldly to his skill level, adjusting test difficulty. Ryan wipes the blood from his cheek, finally understanding the gruesome history of his incredibly cheap estate. They say all the buyers died the night they bought it, so that's what happened, huh? He glances up, tracking the deadly trajectory of the ambush. High above, a sleek metallic gun barrel smokes ominously. That metal orb must have been fired from over there. The system delivers its cold, deadly verdict, commencing trial, difficulty, extreme. Ryan tightens his grip on the sword, his aura flaring wildly as he stares down the hidden machinery. So, you're testing me, are you? Fine, I'll take everything you throw at me. The glowing arena officially declares its name to the challenger. Trial Field, Arena of Martial Strength. The massive metallic turret unleashes a blinding burst of light, firing another lethal projectile with a deafening blast. Ryan deflects the barrage with a flurry of blindingly fast sword strikes, bright sparks flying in every direction. Come ATME, I'll show you that not just anyone can become grandmaster of the Azure Sky Corps. He takes a heavy, grounded stance with a sharp step, bracing his sword like a protective shield. Now come, he challenges. But the arena goes dead silent. The mechanical assault stops completely. Ryan blinks, visibly confused by the sudden pause. Huh. Suddenly, the floor panels beneath him erupt in a massive blast of blue energy, launching him violently into the air. GYAH, he screams. He skids aggressively across the glowing floor, his sword carving a deep, sparking groove into the ground to stop his momentum just before a blue boundary line. It stopped, so this is the boundary it won't cross. Panting slightly, he assesses his perilous situation. I can catch my breath for now, but my sword, like this. The sword suddenly glows and vibrates softly, gently pulling his body back towards the center of the arena. Oh, you're returning it. He shifts back into a tense combat stance, quickly realizing the twisted rules of this deadly game. So this test has some flexibility, huh? He wipes his bleeding cheek with a quick motion, his eyes narrowing sharply as he analyzes the turret's bizarre behavior. Kicking off the ground with an explosive burst of speed, he charges directly at the invisible barrier. If it doesn't attack past this point. The moment he crosses the line, another metal orb is fired ruthlessly at his head. It means you've got something to protect on the other side, he deduces. He leaps high into the air, dodging the shot, only to find a massive battery of turrets rising ominously from the floor, locking onto him with a series of heavy mechanical clicks. Caught midair, Ryan's eyes widen in sheer horror as the entire wall of guns aims directly at his body. The turrets unleash a devastating, synchronized barrage, filling the air with relentless, explosive blasts. Twisting his body unnaturally, he slashes through the deadly hail of bullets, moving like a phantom through the intense crossfire. Bright sparks erupt as his blade clashes violently against the metallic orbs, his movements a blur of desperate, survival-driven precision. A projectile finally breaks his ironclad guard, grazing his shoulder with a sharp hiss of tearing fabric and spilling blood. Ignoring the searing pain, he reaches out his free hand, his face contorted in a fierce, adrenaline-fueled battle cry. Ah! He swings his sword with absolutely everything he has, shattering the incoming projectiles into a shower of useless metallic debris. His eyes glow with a fierce, crackling blue energy, channeling his inner Kai to its absolute peak performance. He unleashes a massive shockwave of blue energy, devastating the immediate area with a thunderous explosion. A thick billowing cloud of dust and smoke engulfs the arena, momentarily obscuring the war zone. From the smoke, Ryan emerges, surrounded by a crackling, swirling vortex of energy. The system records his technique, flowing moonstep. He dashes forward as a literal blur, leaving an ethereal afterimage behind in his wake, realm of illusion. Leaping powerfully towards the main turret structure, he readies a devastating, lightning-infused strike. Yesterday, new moon. He slams his glowing sword into the heavy machinery with a colossal, ground-shaking impact. The thick metal casing begins to crack and splinter under the overwhelming, crushing pressure of his attack. With a final, explosive push, the casing shatters into pieces, sending sharp shards of metal and glass flying in every direction. Ryan lands gracefully on his feet, panting heavily as the blue aura finally dissipates from his exhausted body. Gah! But the threat isn't over just yet. He spots the core of the machine still intact on the floor. The metal orb's still here. Suddenly, the weapon in his hand begins to dissolve into black, pixelated ash, crumbling away. The arena glows softly as a final, victorious system message appears in the air. Trial complete. The blue environment shatters like glass, abruptly returning him to his dimly lit estate. He looks around, breathless. Is it over? Did the estate change a bit? It's become spotless, almost like new. The system delivers its hard-earned rewards. You have unlocked the martial power domain. Utterly exhausted, Ryan collapses onto the wooden floor with a heavy thud. More text appears in his vision, unlocking all estate functions to maximum level. Ryan looks up to see the glowing blue sword floating gently back into his waiting hands. Oh, what's this? This sword's for me. He grabs the hilt firmly, admiring the radiant blade with a wide, intensely satisfied grin. Well, after all that trouble, I suppose the reward's fair. The final system prompt hovers before him. Name your estate to complete the trial. He stares at the glowing letters. You want me to name it now? A proud, deeply nostalgic smile forms on his lips. If it's about a name, I already have one. Standing tall, a majestic phantom dragon seems to coil behind him in his powerful aura. A righteous sky? Yuichin. I'll name it Yuichin Sect. The system instantly registers his grand command. A state has been named Yuichin Sect. A glowing, mystical character for heaven warmly brands itself onto the back of his hand with a soft, resonant hum. A system message appears from this moment. Ryan raised his hand and said, whatever ghost or spirit dwells in the estate, show yourself and reveal your true form. A system message appears, activating Sect system. Ryan got surprised and asked what? Heavy footfalls echo through the quiet corridor. With a violent slam, the door flies open. Hey, young Tilda, a man shouts, bursting into the room. The man at the desk looks up calmly. Oh, Beak Ryan, right, nothing happened overnight. In a flash, Ryan snatches the man by his collar with an angry jerk. You never said something like this would show up, he growls. The man blinks, utterly confused. Huh. That thing has been following me since last night. Ryan points furiously at a floating blue system window that literally reads, it's heading your way right now, with a crying face icon. What is this? What is this? Oh, the man squints at the empty air. There's nothing there, though. Did you bang your head during the night or something? Ryan drops back into his seat with a heavy thud, rubbing his temples. Ah, for real this damn? The man smiles nervously. If it really bothers you, I'll just take the manor back. No, Ryan exhales a long, tired breath. I still need the manor for now. Then we'll have to prepare for the opening rite, so there's quite a bit to do. First, I want to get uniforms made. Got any recommendations? Ryan asks, leaning forward. I'll need around 20 sets. The man strokes his chin thoughtfully. I can recommend the drapers nearby, but they won't be easy to do business with. Right now, they're all scrambling to win a collaboration with Hwangryongjang. Hwangryongjang? Don't tell me that. The man nods. That's right, you've heard of them, I'm sure. Hwangryongjang is a trading guild that has supplied fabrics to the imperial family for generations. Thanks to that, they wield considerable influence even within the martial world. Righteous sects, unorthodox sects, doesn't matter, all of them. So they say even the great clans watch Hwangryongjang's mood. Well, obviously with your finances. The man takes a nonchalant sip of his tea. Hwangryongjang's cloth is out of the question, so don't worry about it. Ryan sweat drops. You're not wrong, but that kind of stings, you know. Then the man said, with the haunted manor rumors, they may not be eager to trade anyway. In any case, head to the Draper's Street. Then a system message appears. Calling it haunted is too much. Ryan said, you hush. Suddenly, Ryan pauses. Wait a second, he mutters, realization dawning on him. We only signed for the manor yesterday. How is the rumor spreading this fast? He narrows his eyes, shooting a piercing, suspicious glare across the table. The man begins to sweat profusely, his teacup rattling in his trembling hands. WL, you know what they say, rumors travel 1,000 li without legs. A dark, ominous aura flares up behind Ryan, his eyes glowing a furious crimson. So you're the one spreading them? The man frantically wags a finger. However it happened, it's publicity for the sect, isn't it? Leaving the rumors aside, the man stammers, waving his arms. The fact you're still alive proves it's safe, no. It'll be fine. Ryan snaps, his patience completely exhausted. This is all because you brought in a haunted manor. Cut to a sunny day outside. Not for sale, Ryan says with a painfully bright, forced smile. No, I can't sell. Ryan shuts the door with a loud slam, walking away from the merchant outside. At least hear us out first, the muffled voice pleads. I said we're not selling, now scram. A bag of salt is suddenly thrown right into Ryan's face with a stinging smack. What bad luck, why did a haunted guy have to come here? Passing villagers whisper and gossip behind their hands. Ryan grits his teeth, trying to maintain his composure. Hold it in, I can't leave a first impression as a lunatic. Suddenly, a desperate scream interrupts his thoughts. Let go of that right now, Ryan turns his head. Huh. No, you promised you'd cure my sister. A young boy tightly grabs onto the robes of a burly martial artist. The thug sneers, raising his hand. "You damn little brat." A crowd quickly gathers. "Siu, aren't you Siu?" An onlooker gasps. "What on earth is going on here?" The boy cries out to an older man. "Elder, these warriors tricked me. They said they'd cure my sister and only took our money. Your sister has no hope. That's why even the physicians gave up." With a vicious backhand, the warrior strikes the boy, sending a spray of blood into the air. The elder shrieks, "SCU. Judging by your uniforms, you're with the Baekjeom sect." The elder steps forward bravely. "How can you bully a child like this?" The senior warrior whispers to his subordinate, "Make sure the sect leader never hears of this. Handle it quietly." The thug smirks. "Yes, senior." The thug looms over the bleeding boy, cracking his knuckles. "See, you should have behaved when we let you go." "Hey," a cold, piercing voice calls out from behind. Before the thug can react, Ryan launches forward like a blur, delivering a devastating kick right into the man's face with a bone-rattling crunch. The thug crashes into the dirt with a heavy thud, coughing violently as dust clouds the air. The senior warrior draws his blade in a panic. "Who the hell are you?" Ryan calmly brushes off his robes while the elder checks on little Siu. "Well, I don't have a name worth flaunting just yet, but it's only polite to answer when asked, right?" With a sharp snap of his sleeves, Ryan crosses his arms. "I'm the sect leader of Yuichinmun, Beak Ryan. How dare some no-name sect interfere?" The enraged warrior leaps high into the air, blade fully drawn. "You dare meddle in Baekjeom sect's affairs." With elegant ease, Ryan weaves out of the path of the descending sword, letting the air rush past him. He parries swiftly, striking the warrior's weapon away with a sharp, echoing clack of his scabbard. The man slams face first into the dirt, screaming, "Jaya!" Ryan stares down at him with an icy gaze. Judging people by a sect's fame isn't a good habit. Moreover, Ryan's eyes flash with cold authority. "If you don't even know your opponent's skill, all the more so." Another Baekjeom warrior charges from the side, furiously swinging a heavy wooden staff. "You cur, are you declaring Baekjeom sect your enemy? You know what that means, don't you?" The staff swings down in a deadly arc. "No idea," Ryan replies blankly, instantly stepping in and countering with a brutal punch to the man's jaw. The impact sends the warrior skidding violently backwards, collapsing into the dirt with a loud crash. One of the onlookers gasps in the background. "They said the former Changchen Diju of the Murim Alliance bought a haunted manor. Don't tell me that's you?" Ryan facepalms in sheer exhaustion. Just how far has that rumor spread? It's already hard enough getting uniforms because of it, you know." Ryan points his scabbard lazily at the remaining warrior. "So stop flapping your lips in the back." The warrior glares back, grinding his teeth in humiliation. Ryan raises his hand and curls a single finger in a taunting gesture. "Fight me. This is an open challenge to Baekjeom sect. Repent for your arrogance." The warrior charges, leaping into the air for a devastating downward slash. Ryan effortlessly blocks the strike with his sheath, the heavy collision sending a shockwave that shatters the ground beneath them. The warrior quickly bounces back, but Ryan is already closing the distance at terrifying speed. The warrior swings a massive horizontal slash of sword aura, but Ryan ducks fluidly underneath the attack. With a powerful twist of his hips, Ryan drives an open palm squarely into the man's chest. An explosive burst of internal energy erupts from the strike, blowing the warrior completely off his feet. Gahek! The warrior hits the ground hard, tumbling through the flying debris. Right, if it's a challenge, then a challenge it is. The defeated man struggles to look up, clutching his shattered pride. Ryan lowers his stance, a chilling aura radiating from him. "If it's a fight, I'll accept any time. Come to Yuichinmun. If you don't want to see things get uglier, it'd be best to leave quietly now." The warrior stares up, completely terrified by the overwhelming pressure. "Damn it, we'll remember this." The thugs scramble away like stray dogs. The elder runs up to Ryan. "Are you all right, warrior?" Young Siu looks up with sparkling eyes. "You said you were getting uniforms made, right? My sister is really good at making clothes." Ryan raises an eyebrow. "Oh, really?" The elder tries to interject. "Warrior about that." "Please save my sister." Siu drops to his knees, bowing until his forehead hits the dirt. Suddenly, the system window chimes. "Detected the carbon of a new client." Siu looks up with a bruised but intensely hopeful face. "Target's grade is level 3. "Oh ho," Ryan smirks behind the glowing blue screen, his interest completely piqued. "Tell me everything from the start." As they walk, Siu solemnly explains, "Our parents passed away last year. It's just my sister and me now. Luckily, my sister's good with her hands, so we've managed to avoid starving. But a while ago, she came down with an illness that freezes her hands and feet." They venture deep into the shadowy forest. "An illness that freezes the extremities, huh?" Ryan mutters. Ryan turns to the old man. Forgive me for asking, elder, but you are. I run a small draper's in the next village. I used to give the girl odd jobs now and then, but she stopped contacting me, so I got worried. We're here, Siu announces, pointing to a dilapidated shack as the evening sun sets behind the trees. Ryan winces at the state of the hut. Is this place even stable? As they step inside, Siu calls out excitedly, Sis, I brought a ghost-catching warrior with me. No, I'm not exactly that. Ryan chuckles, awkwardly scratching the back of his head. Suddenly, he stops. A pair of delicate, pale hands are hovering directly inside the crackling flames of a campfire. Ryan stares in utter disbelief. Who are you? A pale, fragile girl sits dangerously close to the fire, seemingly unaffected by the blazing heat. She can put her hands and feet directly in the fire and be fine. This is much worse than I expected, Ryan thinks, his expression turning grim. A system message pops up. The fire's heat is offsetting the cold of the night at her hands and feet. Side effect of a yin-cold cultivation technique, he deduces. You must be Siowa, he asks softly. Your little brother begged me to save you. She blinks, surprised. Siu did. Yes, isn't it hot? He gestures to the fire. No, she replies plainly. If I don't do this, I get frostbite. Frostbite. The elder steps forward, heartbroken. Siowa, what on earth happened? You stopped contacting us so suddenly we were worried. She lowers her head. I'm sorry, it's because of my condition. Ryan kneels beside her. May I check your pulse for a moment? She looks at him hesitantly. Diagnostic pulse taking. Yes, there's something I need to confirm. Please, as soon as possible. Ryan gently takes her icy hand into his. A soft humming sound fills the air as he channels his spiritual energy into her wrist. A brilliant burst of light flares between their connected palms. The system goes crazy with warnings, absorbing an excessive amount of strong yin energy. At this rate, it's dangerous. Ryan grumbles under his breath. I know, stop being noisy. Siowa looks at him in confusion. Analysis result: excessive yin energy has invaded the subject's body. This energy is, Ryan thinks, piecing the puzzle together. I've got a rough idea of what's going on, he finally says. Siowa's eyes widen with a glimmer of hope. Really? Yes. Extreme yin body. A visual representation of a glowing figure absorbing energy forms in his mind. A rare constitution that draws in yin energy from the surroundings and stores it inside. I've heard the Sword Empress has this constitution as well, he adds. Sword Empress? Yes, the master of Sword Pavilion and one of the Sipchin, the one who stands at the pinnacle of swordsmanship. Siowa smiles faintly by the warm firelight. I don't know much about that, but it sounds amazing. Ryan rubs his forehead, looking troubled. For a martial artist, it's a blessing of a constitution, but right now you're absorbing far too much yin, so you lack yang. If this goes on, you'll meet your end within 3 months. Siowa freezes, a look of pure shock crossing her face. You've felt it in the back of your mind, haven't you? I thought so. Is there no way to cure it? Siu suddenly bursts into tears, slamming his little fists. Lies, nonsense, you're just like those guys from before. The elder sighs heavily. Not even with elixirs, Ryan shakes his head. It would only be temporary, the condition would worsen again. The key is yang, but a way to steadily restore her inner power. He concentrates as the system window chimes rapidly in his ear. I said stop being noisy. Applied upon acquiring essence. Use essence to increase a sect member's recovery. Recovery small, the health and inner power recovery rate of sect members increases. Costs 50 essence. Usable immediately. Ryan blinks. Health and inner power recovery. Another prompt immediately follows. Challenge: secure your first disciple. Reward: essence. A disciple, hold on. Treat Siowa plus secure a disciple equals 2 birds with 1 stone. Ryan's face morphs into a cartoonish, overly plotting grin. I can't be certain, but I think I've found a way, he declares, clapping his hands with a loud, resounding smack. Siowa jumps. He reaches out his hand, his expression suddenly very serious. Siowa, become a disciple of my Yuichinmun. A warrior's disciple? Why so suddenly? She pulls her little brother close, deeply suspicious of his intentions. Trust me just this once, Ryan says, his eyes filled with genuine sincerity. I've never learned any martial arts, and you want me to suddenly become your disciple. Unlike how they trumpet righteousness and chivalry, martial artists only look out for themselves, Siowa thinks, her past trauma bubbling up. They come close like they'll help, but in the end they just save their own skin. That's how our parents got caught up in their battles and died. The memory of a swordsman falling dead flashes vividly in her mind. He might pretend to help and then shake off my hand too. You want me to become one of those martial artists? She glares at him, deeply conflicted. Her gaze falls on his outstretched, waiting hand. Your hand, frostbite. she gasps, noticing the dangerous ice creeping up his skin just from being near her aura. This is nothing, Ryan smiles reassuringly, if it means I can cure you. Sioa's defensive walls begin to crumble. Is he different? She lets out a slow, trembling breath. I don't have a choice if I can heal my body. I'll trust one last time. Please take care of me, she says softly, finally grasping his hand. The system confirms instantly. Challenge secure your first disciple complete, gained essence. Ice violently shoots up Ryan's arm as their energies clash. Frostbite progressing on user's hand due to yin energy contact. He pushes through the freezing pain, consuming essence to activate recovery small. A blinding, warm light erupts from their joined hands. This is impossible, Sioa breathes, watching the freezing mist dissipate from her skin. My hands are getting warmer. Sect members' health and inner power recovery speed increases slightly. Good, it's working. Ryan focuses harder, the light glowing brighter around them, activating recovery small. A majestic swirling aura of spiritual energy lifts Sioa gently into the air. Focus, spiritual energy. Sect members' inner power recovers. Your yang energy is returning, Ryan declares triumphantly. Sect members' yang energy is being replenished. Sioa marvels at her glowing hands as the deadly chill completely vanishes, replaced by a soothing heat. I can't believe it. She stares at her perfectly healed skin by the campfire. My hands and feet are healing. Sis, Siu tackles her in a tearful, joyous hug. The elder beams. Did you do Qigong treatment? Something like that, Ryan winks. The elder's booming laughter fills the tiny cabin. Thanks to you, that was quite a sight. I like you very much. Now I see why the Murim Alliance leader favors you. He cheers, slapping his knee loudly. Ryan shoots him a sharp, sideways glance. He knows the Alliance leader. Elder looking to the fire said, My, I am a bit late with proper introduction. My name is Chingam. A fire dragon appeared behind him, and with a wide grin he said, The master of Huangrayangjiang, or would guild master of Huangrayangjiang be easier to understand? The night hangs heavy over the imposing estate of the Baekjeom sect, shadows dancing menacingly across its grand architecture. In the dimly lit courtyard, the atmosphere is suffocating. The sect leader glares down at his kneeling disciples, his voice dripping with venom. I hear you got utterly humiliated by some newborn sect. Trembling, the battered disciples bow their heads. We're truly sorry, sect leader. With a sickening crunch and a violent spray of blood, a hand mercilessly crushes the disciples' fingers against the stone pavement. A desperate scream pierces the quiet night. Aargh. The sect leader leans on his cane, his eyes cold and devoid of pity. Does it hurt? Compared to the mockery I'll face from the world, that pain is nothing. The wounded man can only sob, I'm truly sorry. Disgusted by the pathetic display, the sect leader waves a dismissive hand. Drag them all to the punishment chamber. Guards immediately haul the thrashing men away. Yes, sect leader, the disciples panic, pleading, No, sect leader, please forgive us just this once. Dragged violently into the darkness, the man wails in sheer terror. Sect leader, please grant me just one more chance. Suddenly, a frantic voice echoes through the courtyard. Sect leader. The sect leader stops, his robes billowing with a sharp flutter as he turns to hear the report. Yuichenmun's Beek Ryan Ha. A sinister, bloodthirsty grin stretches across So Yo Hwang's face, his eyes gleaming with malicious intent. We ought to throw him a grand welcome party. Meanwhile, miles away, Beek Ryan stares blankly into the distance, completely oblivious to the impending danger. By the warm crackle of a campfire, he sits across from the eccentric old man, finally putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Are you saying Elder is the Huangrayangjiang? The old man strokes his beard with a hearty chuckle, his true identity revealed. Well, I had a feeling you weren't exactly an ordinary person. He is none other than Chingam, the guild master of the legendary Golden Dragon Guild. Realizing they are in the presence of an absolute titan, Sioa and her brother immediately drop to their knees in a deep, frantic bow. I failed to recognize you, guildmaster, and have been so rude. The old man waves a hand gently, laughing it off. Ha, no need for that, Sioa. Chingam jovial expression hardens into one of absolute, unwavering seriousness. Well then, Beek Ryan, join our Huangrayangjiang. Beek Ryan's eyes widen at the sudden proposition. The old man leans in, the weight of his influence heavy in the air. We'll sponsor anything you desire. A system prompt suddenly chimes in Beek Ryan's vision, highlighting the sheer scale of the opportunity. The Golden Dragon Guild is a massive trading empire, supplying clothes and silk directly to the imperial family. It's a level 1 client lead. This is a man whose single word can sway the balance of the entire martial world. Masters flock to his banner, and even the great powers, the Murim Alliance and the Sadarion, tread carefully around his mood. But to everyone's surprise, Beek Ryan simply stands up, turning his back to the fire with a soft rustle of his robes. It's certainly a great opportunity, but it's not the future I want. Sitting back down with an easy, untroubled smile, he politely bows his head. I truly appreciate the offer, but I must decline. His smile grows warm as he looks over his shoulder. I've only just taken my first disciple. Seowa peeks out from behind him, her eyes wide with innocent curiosity. Chingamyong bristles, crossing his arms with an offended, heavy thud. You dare refuse an offer from me, the Hwangryongjinju. Beek Ryan smirks, the shadows hiding the sly calculation in his eyes. Yes, rather grant me a chance to trade with Hwangryongjang. If you do, I'll gift you renown worthy of your guild. The guildmaster's aura flares with a furious, crimson intensity, the air around him growing thick and oppressive. I showed a little favor and you get cocky before me, do you? Someone like you dares to grant Hwangryongjang renown. Ryan said, 10 years. Within that time, I'll build a sect that stands shoulder to shoulder with the orthodox Gu Pa Ilbeng and the unorthodox Chilman Iga. Wouldn't that make for a fair deal? He gestures mockingly toward their dilapidated, windswept shack. How laughable. A sect that hasn't even held an opening right claims it'll earn that much fame within 10 years. Unfazed by the mockery, Beek Ryan simply replies, yes, that's right. The audacity is so immense that Chingamyong throws his arms open and roars with booming laughter. K-H-H-H-H-H-H, you do know how to spout a grand boast. His laughter subsides into a sharp, piercing glare. And the fame I promised isn't for you, Guildmaster. Beek Ryan's grin only widens. The old man squints, his patience thinning. What, are you playing with me now? Leaning in with an almost predatory glint in his eye, Beek Ryan lays out his true objective. Introduce me to your disciple. What I want to trade for is Hwangryongjang's future. The old man falls silent, rubbing his chin with a firm grip as he weighs the bold proposition. With a heavy sigh, he nods. Very well. He settles back down, the tension slowly leaving his shoulders. I'll send that disciple brat to your sect soon. Whether to make the deal or not, I'll let the brat decide. Beek Ryan listens intently. But, the guildmaster's voice drops to a lethal whisper, if your sect shows anything that disappoints me in its path forward. A magnificent, terrifying golden dragon manifests in his aura, radiating pure, ground-shaking power. You'll bear responsibility commensurate with that. Not to be outdone, a fierce, crackling blue tiger aura erupts around Beek Ryan. He meets the overwhelming pressure head-on with an arrogant smirk. If that's all, you needn't worry. The clash of auras subsides as quickly as it began. Chingamyong stands up, nodding in grudging respect. Good, then that's the contract. Turning toward the darkness, the old man suddenly bellows with a commanding roar. Bring the silk here. Almost instantly, a massive retinue of guards and a fully loaded carriage appear from the shadows, bowing deeply in unison. You've returned, Guildmaster. A towering pile of premium, shimmering silk is presented before the stunned group. Think of this as a down payment and take it, Chin insists. It's a gift for the fine show I saw today, so don't refuse. Sweat drops forming on his forehead at the sheer extravagance, Beek Ryan quickly bows. Yes, I'll accept it gratefully. Inwardly, he sighs with relief. I had a hunch, but I didn't expect him to be this close by. With a gust of night wind and the clatter of hooves, the grand carriage rolls away into the mist-shrouded mountain pass. Inside the luxurious cabin, Chingamyong chuckles to himself, highly amused. He dares say he'll grant me renown. That insolence, just like him. The carriage speeds along the dark roads. You there, he calls out to his driver over the rattling wheels. Yes, Guildmaster. A sly glint flashes in the old man's eyes. Take me to Sadorion. He gazes out the window, a nostalgic smile playing on his lips. Since I'm out anyway, I'd like to see an old friend's face before I go. I should share a drink with the Sadorion Lord, it's been a while. The night sky watches silently over the turbulent and ever-shifting martial world. By the light of a new day, the Yuichinmun estate looks remarkably vibrant, bathed in the gentle morning sun. Beek Ryan steps outside, proudly wearing a stunning new set of deep blue physician's robes. How is it? I like it very much. The system immediately registers the new gear. Danger increases, power increases. He twirls around with a dramatic flutter, the exquisite fabric flowing seamlessly through the air. Heh, I'm relieved. Honestly, it's my first time handling such high-grade silk. It moves so comfortably when you walk well made. Seowa giggles brightly at his display. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt appears with a soft hum. Crafted an exceedingly fine brush. Choose your reward. Beek Ryan blinks, caught off guard. Huh. He scans the incredible options presented to him. A high-grade elixir, a rare scroll, or the ability to unlock unique traits. His eyes sparkle with greed. Oh ho, that's enormous. Tapping the holographic interface with a confident grin, he makes his choice. The scroll and the elixir are nice, but first. The system confirms his selection with a bright flash. You chose unlock unique trait. A new administrative power settles into his hands. From now on, you can unlock traits of disciples. He immediately pulls up Siowa's stat screen. She possesses a transcendent disposition and excellent martial aptitude, though her intellect took a hit from a lack of questioning. Her traits stand out: diligent, adversity, flexible, and responsible. He taps eagerly at the floating panel. Diligent, adversity, and responsible, huh? Then why can't I select this one? The system stubbornly replies that the trait must be unlocked after further growth. Beak Ryan scowls at the holographic text, deeply annoyed. What? How petty. He sighs, looking at his eager new disciple. It can't be helped. I'll have to train Siowa until I can open this trait. Clapping his hands together, he announces with sudden enthusiasm, All right, let's begin proper training. Siowa jolts in surprise. Yes. Her confidence wavers as she stares at her small, untrained hands. I'm really going to learn martial arts. Will I be any good? Doubts begin to swirl in her mind. Sect leader reached out to me, but what if I mess up? Then she remembers his warm, reassuring words from the day he healed her. It's fine. This much is nothing, if it means I can cure you. The memory banishes her fear. She clenches her fists, her eyes burning with newfound determination. Right, trust the sect leader and worry later. Yes, what art am I learning? A dramatic spotlight seems to hit her as she assumes the ultimate legendary stance. Mabo, commonly called the rider's posture. Her dramatic energy instantly deflates, a heavy drop of sweat sliding down her cheek. Ha, I thought I'd learned something real, and it's this. Standing over her like a strict drill sergeant with a wooden training sword, Beak Ryan crosses his arms. It's the best foundational training to build up your greatly diminished stamina. For now, focus on growing your stamina. She holds the grueling pose, her muscles already aching. Then how long? With a devilish smile, he barks. The goal is half a shijin, approximately 1 hour. Begin. Siowa bites her lip, groaning softly as her legs begin to tremble under the strain. Through gritted teeth, she asks the question weighing on her heart. But sect leader, can someone like me with no experience at all really learn martial arts? Beak Ryan doesn't hesitate. Of course, aren't you an extreme yin body? He gestures, and a cool, swirling blue energy gathers between his hands to demonstrate. Extreme yin body naturally accumulates inner power in the body. Even if that power leans toward yin, once your danshin forms, it will settle in immediately. He looks at her with absolute unwavering pride. A born celestial yin body that draws yin to the extreme. I can't let a child with such innate martial talent slip away. Suddenly, the sound of hurried, heavy footsteps interrupts his monologue. What the? The man shouts loudly, Hey, Beak Ryan. The breathless man aggressively shows a bamboo scroll straight to Beak Ryan. Beak Sect has sent you a letter. Are you acquainted with their sect leader? Startled, Beak mutters. Beak Sect. The young boy points accusingly at the fleeing messengers, his face red with anger. Those mean JERKS? Beak Ryan's eyes narrow in recognition. The guys from yesterday. Unrolling the scroll, his expression turns unreadable as he scans the contents. Let's see. His eyes dart across the harsh calligraphy. Beak Sect is holding a martial meet. They want Yuichinmun to participate. The background flashes with the terrifying, bloody image of So Yo Huang. Beak Sect is the power that grips this region. Their sect leader's personality is as famous as their name. Rumor has it he enjoys using duels as an excuse to dismantle small sects. The man who delivered the message sweats profusely, his face pale. Normally, they'd target sects similar to or slightly smaller than themselves, but why even bother with a miscellaneous upstart like us? A terrifying, demonic aura suddenly erupts from Beak Ryan. Wait, did you just insult us? The man waves his hands frantically in pure terror. No, misunderstanding. Beak Ryan lets out a dark, highly amused chuckle, fully embracing the challenge. Well, as Yang says, their main aim is to humiliate a rising sect. Sounds fun. Siowa's eyes gleam with competitive fire as she holds her stance. Good, it's the perfect chance to make Yuichinmun known. But a second later, doubt creeps back in. But will it be okay? She shrinks back, waving her hands nervously. It's just the two of us, the sect leader and me. Won't I only get in your way? Ryan put the sword on his shoulder and said, What are you taking about? You are entering alone, Siowa, as the head disciple. She nervously said, I see, then I will work even harder on my own. Suddenly she understood and screamed, What? Alone? A serene night settled over the grand pavilions of the sect, accompanied by a heavy, exhausted sigh. A tired exhale echoed into the darkness. Siowa lay flat on the floor and said, "My stamina has definitely dropped. But still, isn't this too much Mabo stance?" Siowa thought, "I don't even get to swing a sword for a full hour a day," she complained, her posture stiff. "Besides, all I've learned is the basic cutting motion that even kids do." She looked up, staring blankly at the ceiling. "The tournament is less than 2 weeks away," she muttered, dreading the impending embarrassment. Out in the courtyard, Siowa held a trembling stance while the sect leader watched with a smug grin. What on earth is the sect leader thinking? She wondered, her legs shaking like leaves. "Haha, Tilda, don't worry," he reassured her with a bright thumbs up. Siowa immediately collapsed backward onto the wooden floor with a heavy thud. "I think I need to go and complain," she yelled, thoroughly done with his nonsense. Later that night, she stomped over to his quarters. She paused at the closed sliding doors, preparing her grievances. "Good, you're not sleeping," she thought to herself. Sect leader," she began, gently sliding the door open. Suddenly, a panicked yelp echoed from inside. The sect leader cried out, completely startled. Siowa jumped back in shock. Inside, the sect leader was furiously sewing a dark piece of fabric, a glowing system window chiming brightly next to him. "Bleeding from the 23rd stab wound has begun. This is harder than I thought," he grumbled, sucking on his punctured finger. "Quiet," he hissed angrily at the glowing text. Siowa, peeking from the doorway, deadpanned. "Lying again," she thought. "You must be starting to feel skeptical about the Mabo training," he muttered to himself, unaware of her presence. "Before that, I must hurry and finish the martial arts uniform for Siowa." With a sharp flap of the fabric, he proudly held up the newly stitched uniform, a gentle, almost fatherly smile on his face. "I hope she likes it." Siowa's annoyance melted away instantly. With a soft, sliding sound, she quietly closed the door, a faint smile touching her lips. But peace never lasts long in the martial world. A glowing system prompt materialized with a chime. The consequences for Siowa's fainting is about to begin. Behind the paper doors, a sudden, alarming shift in the atmosphere made a shadowed figure pause. Suddenly. 2 weeks flew by in a flash. Sunlight bathed the bustling streets on the day of the highly anticipated tournament hosted by the Baekjeom sect. "Senior brother," a voice called out amidst the lively chatter of the busy marketplace. A group of Baekjeom disciples gathered, gossiping among themselves. "Why is the sect leader suddenly holding a tournament?" one asked. "Isn't it enough to just have the friendly match with that Yui-something sect?" Another scoffed, leaning in. "Rumors have already spread that our kids are getting beaten up." The scene shifted to the ruthless Baekjeom sect leader, standing tall with his heavy boot planted firmly on a defeated man's crushed face. "He plans to make an example of them in front of the other sects," a disciple narrated. "What happens when you challenge our Baekjeom sect?" A disciple smirked with arrogant delight, his eyes narrowing. "Whoever those guys are, it seems they bit off more than they could chew, not knowing their place," he gloated before pausing. At the registration desk, Siowa and her sect leader stood calmly before the bewildered clerk. "Should I sign here?" the sect leader asked politely. "Ah, yes, that's correct," the clerk replied, staring at them in a trance. "Does this sect pick its disciples based on looks?" he wondered, blushing as he looked at Siowa. "So cute." But his gaze drifted down to her mismatched, poorly stitched attire. "But why are that female disciple's clothes?" he thought, trailing off. The sect leader flinched, visibly cringing, while Siowa covered her mouth to stifle an amused giggle. "Do you like the clothes?" he asked nervously as they walked toward the grand arena. Siowa beamed, her smile radiant against the blue sky. "The finishing is a bit lacking, but I love it." The moment of truth arrived, as a heavy boot stepped onto the grand podium with a resounding thud. The Baekjeom sect leader stood tall before the massive crowd, projecting his booming voice. "Now, I declare the Baekjeom tournament open," he announced grandly. "This event is to strengthen the friendship between the righteous sects. It is also a stage for the new talents who will lead the future," he continued, a sly glimmer in his eye. "So, I have prepared a small gift." An attendant respectfully opened a wooden box, revealing a brilliantly glowing blue orb. The crowd gasped in unison. "That is that," someone shouted. "Small Chengdan pill." A system window popped up, confirming the treasure. Small azure pill, one of the 2 spirit pills personally refined by the Wudang sect. If you take it, it helps to strengthen your energy and stabilize your danshin. The crowd erupted into excited murmurs as Siowa and the sect leader watched closely. "The winner will be awarded this very Chengdan pill," the Baekjeom leader declared. The crowd roared with wild applause. "The Baekjeom sect leader is quite generous," a spectator cheered. An attendant bowed deeply. "The lottery preparations are complete, sect leader." The Baekjeom leader's generous facade vanished, replaced by a cold, calculating glare as he scanned the arena. "The ones I've marked," he muttered. His lips curled into a wicked, teeth-baring grin. "I'll make sure they never dare to challenge the Baekjeom sect again," he vowed. He turned to his disciples, his face twisted in manic, unhinged rage. "Show them the overwhelming difference in power," he roared. "Yes," they bellowed back in unison. The scale of the tournament was massive. At Tournament Area 3, the preliminary venue was already packed with eager spectators surrounding the square fighting stage. Siowa stood at the edge of the arena, gripping her wooden sword tightly, sweat beading on her nervous face. Sect leader, can I do well?" she stammered, looking up at him for any shred of reassurance. "Just recall your training," he replied smoothly, a confident smile on his face. Siowa blinked, completely dumbfounded. "But I've only done Mabo stance," she questioned. He placed a gentle, reassuring hand on her shoulder, his eyes full of absolute faith. "Then trust in me, who ordered that training." He smiled brightly at her. "I guarantee you have become much stronger than before," he promised. Siowa's anxiety wavered as she looked back at him. "Really?" Taking a deep breath, she pumped her fist with renewed determination. "I don't really believe it, but I'll try my best," she cheered. "Good," he chuckled warmly. The referee raised his colored flags toward the sky. "From now on, we will begin the Area 3 preliminaries," he shouted. Siowa stepped onto the stage, her presence suddenly imposing, a fiery blue aura seemingly radiating behind her as her sect leader watched proudly. "Chungsim, the third disciple of the Chungwal sect," the referee announced. "I'm Siowa of the Yuajin sect," she replied with a polite bow. Her opponent scoffed, eyeing her basic stance. "What's this? She looks like she hasn't even held a sword for long, let alone has any combat experience," he thought. "Yes, that's right," the referee confirmed loudly. Siowa admitted. "I've only been learning for about a month," the man smirked arrogantly. "Huh, really? To climb up here without knowing your place, I shall teach you a lesson." The referee swung his flags down violently. "Begin." "Attack with all your might," her opponent roared, rushing forward. But Siowa moved like a blur. With a sharp whistling sound, she swung her wooden sword with terrifying force. A bone-rattling crack echoed as she struck him square in the chest. A painful gasp escaped his lips. The impact was completely devastating. The man was launched backward like a cannonball, crashing violently onto the stone pavement and kicking up a massive cloud of dust with a deafening crash. He skidded to a halt, completely knocked out cold. The referee's jaw dropped in absolute shock, his eyes practically bugging out of his head. "No way," he gasped. People start talking. "Unbelievable," someone said. "The match was decided in one blow." In the crowd, the sect leader crossed his arms, wearing a smug, triumphant smirk. "See, I told you to believe me," he thought proudly. "The winner is Siowa of the Yuajin sect," the referee stammered out. Siowa cheered brightly, holding her flag high into the sky. The sect leader gave her a quiet thumbs up. "For the past 2 weeks, I taught Siowa the mindset of a martial artist," he reflected. "Hitting with all one's strength is harder than it looks," he analyzed, watching her strike replay in his mind. "Especially for initiates of that age. Most of them can't use their full strength, afraid of hurting their opponent. In short, it means Siowa, unlike them, strikes with her full power," he concluded with a satisfied grin. Siowa skipped back to him, her face glowing with pure, unadulterated joy. "Sect leader, I won tilde," she sang. "Well, you'll pass the main round easily," he thought, watching the crowd erupt in cheers for his triumphant disciple. He chuckled to himself, brushing a stray hair from his face. "Now I don't need to worry about Siowa. I should look around and see if there are any other noteworthy ones," he mused. Down in the ring, the referee announced the next match. "Next is Jin Guang of the Baekjeom sect." "Baekjeom sect, huh?" the sect leader murmured, turning his full attention back to the arena. Jin Guang, a fierce-looking youth, swung his wooden sword with vicious, blinding speed. The sharp swish of the blade was immediately followed by a sickening thud. His opponent cried out in agony. His opponent stumbled backward, throwing his empty hands up in utter defeat. "W8," he begged. I surrender," the man pleaded, his face bruised and desperate. But Jin Guang's eyes flashed with cruel malice, his killing intent suffocating. He raised his weapon high, completely ignoring the plea for mercy. "Huh!" the fallen man gasped. No, wait." With a ruthless, high-speed downward swing, Jin Guang mercilessly struck the defenseless man. Bright red blood splattered across the arena floor as the heavy blow landed with a gruesome, bone-cracking crunch. The referee immediately jumped in, waving his hands frantically to halt the one-sided slaughter. "Stop! The match is already decided," he screamed. "Jin Guang of the Baekjeom sect wins," the referee announced shakily. The victor merely glared down and clicked his tongue, completely unfazed by his own brutality. The Yuajin sect leader's gaze hardened, his previous warmth vanishing into cold disgust. "Look at this kid. Even against an opponent with an obvious skill gap, he resorts to petty tricks," he observed bitterly. "Nasty little brat." "Sect leader, I made it to the main tournament," Siowa cheered, running up to him and breaking his dark train of thought. He instantly masked his disgust, smiling warmly at her. "Oh, tilde, yes, congratulations." Just as you said, I won easily when I used all my strength. She beamed, clutching his arm. He patted her gently. Yes, it certainly seems effective. Suddenly, Siowa went rigid. Cold sweat formed on her cheek as an oppressive, vile aura washed over her. This unpleasant killing intent, is it? She thought, terrified. It seems to be coming from that person. She was staring right at Jin Guang. The sect leader noticed her fearful gaze. How about that person? Perhaps at this rate you'll face him in the main tournament, he warned her calmly. A booming, sinister voice interrupted them. Congratulations on advancing to the main tournament. They both turned, startled. It was So Yo Huang, the imposing Baekjeom sect leader. He grinned down at them with a terrifying, overwhelming aura. Baekjeom sect leader? Siowa gasped. Our children were rude the other day, So Yo Huang stated, though his booming tone lacked any real apology. The Yuejin sect leader fired back with a cold, piercing smile. I'm fine, but it certainly seems your disciples need some education, he retorted sharply. So Yo Huang's grin only widened into something more sinister. More importantly, to advance to the main tournament as a young girl, that's splendid, he praised hollowly. He abruptly placed a heavy, intimidating hand on Siowa's shoulder, making her flinch. However, your next opponent is Wu Jiong, he mocked. It's unfortunate, but this seems to be the end of the line for you. The Yuejin sect leader swiftly slapped the man's hand away with a sharp smack, pulling Siowa close. So Yo Huang continued smoothly. Still, your talent is special, so if you ever want to join our Baekjeom sect. Thank you for watching over Siowa, her sect leader cut in coldly. Well, the disciples of Baekjeom sect seem somewhat competent. A vein popped violently on So Yo Huang's forehead. His polite facade shattered into a deeply menacing scowl. Somewhat, he growled. He immediately barked an order to a nearby disciple. Wang Pal, he yelled. The burly man rushed over in a panic. Yes, sect leader. Escort these guests to their quarters, So Yo Huang commanded, his voice dripping with venom. Yes, Wang Pal nodded obediently. So Yo Huang's face plunged into dark shadow, his teeth bared in a sinister, threatening grin. Then please enjoy the rest of the event, he practically spat. The Yuejin sect leader didn't blink, matching his hostility. If we can, that is, he replied coolly. Wang Pal gestured awkwardly, trying to cut the immense tension. He muttered. I am Wang Pal, a first sword disciple of Baekjeom sect, assigned to guide you during your stay. The large man introduced himself. A glowing blue system prompt hovered beside him, revealing his exceptional muscular constitution and rapid mastery of techniques. He extended a hand politely. This way, please. As Wang Pal turned, the Yuejin sect leader suddenly materialized right behind him. He firmly grabbed the large man's broad shoulders, his grip tightening ominously. Speaking of which, young man, he whispered. Wang Pal froze, utterly terrified by the sudden physical contact. The sect leader leaned in close, a dangerously unhinged smile spreading across his face, his eyes glowing with dark amusement. You are tall and have a formidable build, he praised with a terrifying edge. Sweating profusely, Wang Pal managed a shaky, panicked reply. Thank you. Wang Pal then walked awkwardly and said, This is the guest room you will be using. Please rest comfortably. He replied, Yes, thank you. Siowa asked, by the way, sect leader, about my next opponent. He asked, What about him, Siowa? That fellow named Wang Pal as your junior disciple. Siowa asked, What? In the courtyard, the imposing sect leader approaches a heavily muscled young disciple, asking, What did you say your name was? The disciple stands at attention and proudly replies, Yes, sect leader, it's Wang Pal. The sect leader gives Wang Pal's shoulder a firm squeeze, praising him. You're large for your age and have good muscle quality. Impressed by the boy's apparent potential, he offers, You seem talented, so become a disciple of Baekjeom sect. Wang Pal's face lights up with sheer joy and gratitude as he enthusiastically accepts. Yes, thank you, sect leader. However, reality quickly hits with a heavy thud as Wang Pal collapses to the dirt, bruised and battered. A senior disciple stands triumphantly over his bleeding body, holding a wooden practice sword. The watching crowd erupts into amazed chatter, exclaiming, Wow, Jin Guang beat Wang Pal, and marveling at how a younger junior could defeat a senior brother who is 3 years older. Meanwhile, Jin Guang pants heavily, a sinister, bloodthirsty grin plastered across his face. Cowering on the ground, a terrified Wang Pal desperately pleads, Wait, junior brother. He begs for mercy, reminding his attacker, It's just training, there's no need for this. Watching the pathetic display, the sect leader turns his back with a sharp swoosh of his robes, coldly stating, I was wrong. He looks down on Wang Pal from the balcony, his voice dripping with disgust as he insults him. To think you were just an empty husk with a big frame. Wang Pal reaches out pitifully, crying, Sect leader. Without a shred of pity, the sect leader delivers his final judgment, ordering Wang Pal to spend the rest of his life cleaning up after his juniors. Wang Pal's eyes widen in sheer horror at the humiliating decree. Wang Pal abruptly wakes from the nightmare, gasping for air as he sits up in his bed. Wiping a thick layer of cold sweat from his face with a trembling hand, he lets out a heavy, exhausted sigh. Ah. Suddenly, a chilling voice cuts through the room. Aren't you going to get up? Wang Pal flinches as he spots Jin Guang casually wiping down his wooden sword, nervously asking, "Junior brother Jin Guang, what brings you here?" Jin Guang nonchalantly replies, "I came to warm up a bit before my match later." Hoping to avoid another beating, Wang Pal timidly excuses himself. "Ah, sorry, but I'm not feeling well." Jin Guang shoots him a piercing glare, completely dismissing the excuse with a sharp retort. "What does that matter?" He steps closer, demanding, "I'm saying I need you right now." Sliding the door open with a soft rattle, Jin Guang coldly reminds Wang Pal that his only use is his large body, mocking, "Shouldn't you be helpful at times like this?" Defeated and entirely resigned to his fate, Wang Pal mutters, "Ah, all right." Jin Guang steps out, casually telling him to come out so he can warm up lightly. Left alone in the quiet room, Wang Pal stares blankly ahead, completely broken in spirit. Later, the roar of a massive crowd echoes through the bustling arena as the tournament announcer shouts, "Now, we will begin the semifinal match." An analyst details the threat of Siowa's opponent, Wu Jiong, explaining that he uses the unpredictable illusion sword style. Though it's hard to read his aim, the analyst notes that his imprecision leaves a large opening. Siowa's master tests her knowledge, asking what she must do to defeat such a tricky opponent. Siowa innocently taps her chin and guesses, try not to be deceived." The master flashes a cheeky wink, admitting she's right but adding, "That's correct, but there's an easier way for you right now." He gives her a secret piece of advice, simply telling her, "Do this," while the crowd murmurs in anticipation. With a confident smirk, he raises a finger and assures her, "With this, you can definitely beat Wu Jiong, trust me." Holding her wooden practice sword tightly, Siowa beams with unwavering trust and cheerfully shouts, "Yes." The rival sect leader said, "The semi-finals already." Master replied, "Time sure passed quickly." The rival sect leader with a smug smile, offering backhanded praise by saying, "To think you'd achieve this much with that child in just a month. Congratulations." The master looks at him skeptically, questioning the early celebration. Flashing a fierce, toothy grin, the master fires back, "I'll accept your congratulations tomorrow after I win the finals." The rival leader is completely taken aback, stammering, "What? Are you serious?" Down in the ring, Wu Jiong stares down his tiny opponent from across the martial arts symbol, arrogantly declaring, "I'll praise you for making it this far, but your luck ends here." Wu Jiong boasts that everyone is predicting her defeat, but Siowa stands her ground, boldly responding, "You're wrong about that." She places a hand on her chest, adding, "At least my sect leader said I would win." Throwing his head back, Wu Jiong bursts into hysterical laughter, mocking them with, "Ha, like master, like disciple. You're both out of your minds." The moment the match begins, Siowa launches forward with a powerful burst of speed, declaring her intention to win today's match. Their swords clash with a sharp, resounding crack as Wu Jiong praises her spirit. The spectators are immediately impressed by his technique, noting that his fundamentals are on a completely different level. Wu Jiong unleashes a ferocious, sweeping attack with a sharp hiss, catching Siowa off guard. He taunts her fiercely, asking if she's giving up already. Siowa blocks the barrage of strikes, her eyes darting frantically as she realizes she can't distinguish his feints from his real attacks. Focusing all her energy, she braces herself against his relentless onslaught, resolving to at least defend her center line. Wu Jiong steps into a massive, explosive strike that collides against her wooden blade with a thunderous impact. The sheer force sends Siowa skidding backward across the stone arena, a pained gasp escaping her lips. Wu Jiong lowers his stance, a sinister smile creeping onto his face as he acknowledges her resilience. "Oh, you block this." Dark purple energy begins to radiate from his body, and he openly admits, "It seems I underestimated you." Thrusting his hand forward with a sharp whipping sound, he launches his next devastating technique, shouting, "Then how about this?" He unleashes a volley of purple energy slashes that tear through the air, forcing Siowa to desperately evade the strikes. In the midst of the chaos, her master's voice echoes in her mind, reminding her that an illusion sword user is relatively weak in close combat and will try to keep their distance. His strategy was simple. If your sword can just reach him, you can win. Gripping her practice sword firmly, Siowa locks eyes on her target, her determination burning brightly as she mutters, "It's just the beginning." She charges forward, her quick footsteps pattering rapidly against the arena floor as she closes the gap. Wu Jiong grins maniacally, sending another swift, dark energy strike her way while cheering, "That's more like it." Siowa weaves through the chaotic purple blasts, expertly dodging each fierce strike as she pushes closer to him. Just as she gets within range, Wu Jiong dramatically swings his sword downward, mocking, "Sorry, but your movements are too obvious." With a crushing blow, his blade strikes her squarely in the chest, and Siowa cries out in pain as the impact explodes around her. The rival sect leader watches in absolute shock, but Siowa's master remains incredibly calm, his eyes locked on the fight. The rival leader shoots a bewildered glance at the master, unable to comprehend why the man is smiling serenely while his disciple is being battered. Siowa collapses to her knees, coughing violently, as Wu Jiong throws his hand up and arrogantly declares, "I win." She remains bowed on the ground, struggling for breath as she uses her wooden sword to keep herself from completely face-planting. Summoning more dark energy weapons around him, Wu Jiong looks down at her with pity, stating, "I had some expectations, but this is as far as you go." But Siowa refuses to accept defeat, gasping out a defiant, "No." Rising to her feet with fierce determination, she takes her stance once more, shouting, "I won't go down yet." Wu Jiong lunges at her with blinding speed, furious at her resilience as he screams, "You're struggling just to stand up. What do you think you can do?" Instead of retreating, Siowa dives aggressively forward, slipping right beneath his chaotic purple energy strikes to his utter shock. Caught completely off balance, Wu Jiong reaches out frantically, snarling, "Don't make me laugh." Her eyes burning with intense focus, Siowa channels all her strength, declaring, "This blow will end it." She perfectly executes her ultimate technique, the basic Chungong Bakbi second form. With a tremendous upward vertical cut, she strikes Wu Jiong squarely beneath his jaw, sending him flying backward from the crushing impact. Her master watches with a satisfied, knowing grin, cheering, "All right, I win." Outraged, the rival leader points a furious finger at the ring, protesting that Siowa faked her defeat to launch a surprise attack, yelling, "Isn't that a foul?" The master brushes off the accusation, calmly retorting, "You're just being stubborn. Otherwise, does it make sense to lose to a girl like that?" Suddenly, the imposing leader of the Yuichin sect steps in, his dark aura radiating as he scolds the rival leader. "Is the Baekjeom sect always this rude?" He reprimands him for allowing a mere disciple to argue with a sect leader, making the rival back down in fear. The rival leader immediately bows in submission, begging for forgiveness for his disciple's rudeness. The Yuichin sect leader gracefully accepts the apology. However, he sternly points out that the real issue was the arbitrary assumption of defeat, firmly stating, "The Baekjeom sect accepts defeat in this match." The arena explodes into thunderous cheers as the announcer officially declares, "Siowa of the Yuichin sect wins." The crowd goes wild, amazed that a Baekjeom disciple was actually defeated. Murmurs ripple through the awestruck spectators, with rumors spreading that she hasn't even been learning martial arts for a month. The crowd collectively agrees on one word for her phenomenal performance: amazing. From the center of the ring, Siowa waves excitedly to her master, happily shouting, "Sect leader, I won." He smiles warmly and praises her hard work, casually mentioning that someone else is treating them to dinner. In the shadows of the cheering crowd, Wang Pal watches the heartwarming scene with a solemn, conflicted expression. His moment of peace is shattered as his own sect leader leans closely into his ear, causing Wang Pal's heart to pound nervously. The sect leader delivers a sinister whisper, ordering Wang Pal to mix a paralytic poison into Siowa's meal tonight to dull her movements for tomorrow's match. Horrified by the treacherous command, Wang Pal gasps, "Sect leader." With an utterly ruthless expression, the sect leader insists that the wench must not be allowed to win, instructing him to have Jin Guang break all her limbs and cripple her. Trembling with moral conflict, Wang Pal stammers, I can't do such a thing." But his hesitation is instantly met with a vicious, resounding slap across his face, leaving him stunned and terrified. Sect leader shouted, "You foolish thing, if you have no talent, you should at least have some cunning." Then he hit him again and said, "That's why you are being overtaken by your juniors." The master appeared behind him and said, "You discipline you disciples quite strictly, sect leader." The sect leader turns to see him with cunning eyes. The tension in the courtyard was thick enough to cut with a sword. The white sword sect leader glared down his nose at the unwelcome guest. "To interfere in another sect's affairs? Quite discourteous of you." The Yuichin sect leader didn't even flinch, offering a relaxed, almost mocking smile. "Sect leader of Yuichin," he introduced himself breezily. "I don't know what's going on, but aren't you being too harsh on that disciple? Isn't it the role of a sect leader to guide even a lacking disciple without giving up?" he pressed. The white sword leader scoffed in pure annoyance. "I suggest you mind your own business and continue on your way." But the Yuichin leader stood his ground. "No, I came here to see the sect leader of the White Sword sect." The white sword leader's patience snapped. He shot a venomous glare at his own trembling student. Wang Pal, hand that disciple over to the Yuichin sect. Wang Pal froze, uttering a bewildered, "What?" Sweating profusely, Wang Pal pointed a trembling finger at himself, looking as if he'd just been asked to jump off a cliff. "Me? All of a sudden, why?" The Yuichin leader smirked, happily fanning the flames. "From what I can tell, Yuichin sect's methods seem to suit that disciple better than the white sword sect's." The white sword leader's eyes narrowed dangerously. "What did you say?" Turning his wrath entirely on his unfortunate student, the white sword leader growled. "You seem to have gotten quite close to the Yuichin sect leader, haven't you? So that's why you disobeyed my orders." Wang Pal waved his hands frantically. "And no, sect leader." But his master only grinned with malicious intent, an evil shadow falling over his face. "Very well, I accept that offer," Wang Pal practically sobbed. "Sect leader." Grabbing Wang Pal firmly by the shoulder to prevent his escape, the white sword leader proposed a sinister compromise. "However, it would be a shame to send off a cherished disciple just like that, so how about we make a simple wager?" The Yuichin leader raised an eyebrow. "A wager?" "That girl, Siowa," the white sword leader continued, his voice dripping with greed. "She's a talent far too good to waste in a small sect." Meanwhile, far away, Siowa suddenly shivered, violently rubbing her arms. "Where did the sect leader go? I suddenly got chills," she thought. "In this martial tournament," the white sword leader declared loudly so everyone could hear, "whichever sect wins shall take one disciple from the other as their own." Wang Pal whimpered, seeing his life flash before his eyes. "Sect leader. Don't take it the wrong way. I only make this proposal out of pity," the white sword leader sneered. The Yuichin leader didn't even hesitate. "Very well. Let's settle it that way then." The agreement was struck, sealing their fates with a few simple words. Wang Pal desperately turned to the Yuichin leader, pleading for his life. "That's going too far, sect leader of Yuichin. Please stop this now." But his master merely watched, thinking, "Ha, this guy, huh." Turning on his heel, the white sword leader walked off with heavy, echoing steps. "Then I'll look forward to it. You'll probably lose your only disciple left." Once they were finally alone, the Yuichin leader grabbed Wang Pal by the collar with a playful yet terrifying grin. "Do you know why I chose you?" Wang Pal blinked in sheer confusion. "Sir." The playful demeanor vanished in an instant, replaced by a gaze so serious it made Wang Pal swallow hard. "I didn't say I'd take you just for show. Think carefully about it." Wang Pal stood there, utterly speechless. Later, gazing out over the massive, vibrant tournament grounds, Wang Pal finally found his voice, yelling in utter disbelief. "What? You? Does Lady Seohwa know about this wager as well?" The Yuichin leader just strolled through the bustling crowd, waving a hand dismissively while Wang Pal sweated bullets. Siohwa would be delighted to have a mentor, I'm sure. A talent like that would only go to waste in a sect like the White Sword Sect Tilda, and besides, all we have to do is win, isn't that right? He eventually found Siohwa and placed his hands gently on her shoulders, looking her dead in the eye. "Siohwa, I don't want to pressure you, but can you win this match for us?" She looked completely bewildered. "Me? Of course, I'll do my best," she stammered, sweating slightly under the sudden weight of the world. "But you said the odds were 50-50, sect leader," he nodded solemnly. "That's right, but I know you can do it." He gave her a reassuring, unshakably confident smile. "I believe in you." That was all she needed to hear. Clenching her fist, she declared with a newfound fire, "Yes, I'll do my best." Deep within her, a mystical system prompt silently chimed. A seed of responsibility begins to sprout within Siohwa. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the arena corridors, the white sword leader was briefing his own combatant. "You mustn't let your guard down." His disciple, Jin Guang, bowed deeply. "Of course. There must be no more humiliation. You must win," the master barked. Jin Guang's face twisted into a vicious, eager smirk. "Yes, sect leader." As Jin Guang walked toward the bright light of the arena, Wang Pal cautiously caught up to him. "Jin Guang, be careful." Jin Guang merely scoffed, brushing past him with pure disdain. "I'm not careless like Wu Jiong. You seem to think quite highly of the Yuichin sect's beginner's luck as well, senior brother." Wang Pal protested. "No, I just..." But Jin Guang wasn't listening. Looking up at the clear sky with arrogant certainty, he vowed, "I'll crush every last bit of their foolish hope myself." The atmosphere in the arena grew electric as the referee stepped between them and raised his arms. "Both COMPTITORS, step forward." Siohwa and Jin Guang locked eyes, tension sparking intensely. Jin Guang drew his heavy, curved blade with a menacing scrape of metal. "To think you made it to the finals against the White Sword Sect commendable, but that luck ends here." Unfazed, Siohwa firmly gripped her wooden training sword, staring him down calmly. "You'll only know who's stronger once we face off, won't we?" The referee dropped his hand. "Begin." Jin Guang immediately analyzed her stance, a wicked grin spreading across his face. She'll likely try to avoid a direct confrontation. With a beginner's inner power, surprise tactics are her only chance. But to his absolute shock, Siowa exploded forward in a blur of motion, rushing him completely head-on. With a resounding clash, their weapons collided. The sheer, unexpected force of her swing pushed Jin Guang back, forcing a pained grunt from his lips. Ah! He gritted his teeth, his boots sliding against the dirt as he struggled to hold his ground. This woman, her inner power is stronger than I thought. Siowa didn't let up for a single second, recalling her master's advice. Your opponent must be thinking your inner power isn't that strong. Naturally so. She launched another fierce, wide strike. Sparks flew as their blades met again and again in a flurry of heavy strikes. But aren't you the one with the extreme yin body? Her master's voice echoed in her mind. A constitution that accumulates inner power innately. Her eyes locked onto a split-second opening in his guard. You'll have only one chance. Propelling herself with a sharp burst of energy, she leaped high into the air, casting a dark shadow over a suddenly panicked Jin Guang. She brought her wooden sword down with a bone-rattling thud. Jin Guang desperately crossed his arms to block, but the brutal impact sent him reeling to his knees. Ah! The force was too much. He was sent skidding violently across the dirt floor of the arena, gasping for air as he dug his heels in. Siowa landed gracefully, her sword at the ready as her hair whipped in the wind. Panting, Jin Guang glared at her. I admit your inner power is better than I expected. Gathering dark, ominous energy into his free hand, he lunged forward with explosive, terrifying speed. But even so, you're still just a novice. He unleashed a violent shockwave of raw power. Siowa was caught completely off guard, thrown backward through the air with a sharp cry. Kyah! She dug her heels in, skidding to a halt, and raised her sword to block as the heavy purple energy bore down on her like a crashing wave. He's strong. With a flurry of rapid, brutal strikes, Jin Guang pressed his advantage, raining blows down upon her. I'll finish this in 10 seconds. The pressure was suffocating, every block sending painful vibrations up her weary arms. I can't lose like this, she thought desperately. In that moment of dire need, a mystical prompt materialized in the air. The trait responsibility activates. A massive eruption of bright aura burst from Siowa, blowing the dark energy away and forcing Jin Guang to throw up an arm to shield his eyes. The system notifications cascaded before her vision. Diligence and adversity are confirmed. Centered on responsibility, the three traits begin to merge. Her heart pounded like a war drum in her chest. Her pupils dilated, her focus narrowing down to a single razor-sharp point in time. With an effortless, almost supernatural flick of her wrist, she deflected Jin Guang's next furious strike. He stumbled forward, eyes wide in sheer disbelief. Another prompt chimed silently in her consciousness. Under extreme pressure, her insight and judgment rise dramatically. Drawing upon her newfound, surging strength, Siowa let out a fierce, earth-shaking battle cry. HP. She stepped in with a devastating counterattack, slamming her wooden blade against his with explosive force that sent shockwaves through the arena floor. Realizing the tables had completely turned, Jin Guang summoned all his remaining dark energy, screaming in sheer desperation. And no. He poured everything into his blade, dark aura swirling violently around him like a tempest. I'll commend you for holding out this long, but can you withstand this final blow? Siowa's eyes widened as the massive, overwhelming attack loomed over her like a shadow of death. He swung down with everything he had left, the air itself screaming around the blade. It's over. In the stands, the Yuichin leader shot up from his seat, raw panic flashing across his face for the first time. Siowa. As the darkness descended, her master's words echoed loudly in her mind. I believe in you. Her resolve crystallized into pure ice. A thunderous explosion ripped through the arena, sending a massive shockwave of dirt, debris, and raw energy violently into the air. A towering pillar of blinding light and dust obscured the entire stage, violently blowing the spectators back and leaving the outcome completely hidden. The Yuichin leader clenched his fists, staring intensely into the settling smoke, praying for a miracle. The white sword leader remained stoic, but next to him, Wang Pal watched in absolute terror, murmuring, Yin Cold Qigong. A system box confirmed the legendary technique. Yin Cold Qigong, an inner power technique that manipulates the cold energy of yin. As the dust began to clear, a frosty, glowing white hand emerged gracefully from the smoke, literally chilling the air around it with a soft crackle. A final, triumphant technique was declared by the system. Basic Azure Technique, third form. 1 point. Siowa stood completely unharmed, a majestic, ethereal aura of swirling ice and frost dancing beautifully around her. Blowing the residual frost from her fingertips with a soft breath, she offered a cheeky, utterly exhausted smile. It's a bit chilly, isn't it? Behind her, Jin Guang collapsed face first to the ground with a heavy thud, completely and utterly defeated. The Yuichin leader gasped in pure relief. Overcome with emotion, the Yuichin leader hopped the wooden fence and dashed toward the stage like a madman. "Siowa!" The referee frantically tried to hold him back with his flag. "You can't step into the arena during a match." Yuichin leader shouted, "What nonsense is this? Can't you see already who's won?" Jin Guang groaned weakly, his body twitching on the arena floor as his vision faded. "Ah!" The referee looked down at the crushed champion in disbelief. Siowa plopped down onto the dirt, throwing a tired but victorious fist into the air with a bright wink as the crowd absolutely roared. The referee finally managed to stutter out the historic result. The victor is Siowa of Yuichin Sect." The White Sword Sect leader in anger said, "You truly make a mockery of our White Sword Sect." The dust of the arena begins to settle. The Yuichin Sect leader approaches the exhausted Wang Pal, extending a hand. "Can you stand?" Wang Pal looks up, his breath hitching. "Yuichin leader Nim." With a warm smile, the leader turns and gently pats Siowa's shoulder. "I kept my promise." The sect leader's gaze softens as he looks at her, a hint of pride in his eyes. "This kid." The arena explodes into thunderous applause, the crowd roaring their approval. The leader helps Siowa to her feet. "You fought well. Congratulations. Now respond to them." With a swift, dramatic motion, he raises Siowa's arm high into the air for all to see. "The winner of the Baekjeom sparring tournament is Siowa of the Yuichin Sect." The crowd erupts into deafening cheers as Siowa beams, her face radiating pure, unfiltered joy. Stepping forward, the Yuichin Sect leader projects his voice over the jubilant masses, commanding the entire courtyard's attention. "As the Yuichin Sect leader, I would like to say a word." He flashes a confident grin, enjoying the spotlight. "1 month from now, the Yuichin Sect's official opening ceremony will be held. We request the attendance of everyone present here." People started talking. They haven't even held their opening ceremony yet. The Baekjeom sect lost to a new sect like that. But the celebratory mood is suddenly shattered. The Baekjeom sect leader furiously points a trembling finger, his face twisted in absolute rage. "Yuichin sect leader, you bastard! You used the Baekjeom sect for your opening ceremony." With a sharp scrape of metal, the disgraced leader unsheathes his wicked iron claws. "And you hid something like the yin-cold qigong. You dared to put on an act in front of me." He lunges forward, ready to tear his enemy apart, but his wrist is suddenly caught in midair with a heavy, unyielding thud. "What are you doing, Wang Pal?" the Baekjeom leader snaps. Wang Pal, his grip like a vice, glares back at his former master. "Sect leader, you are the one who should maintain your dignity." A dark purple aura flares wildly as the Baekjeom leader violently yanks his arm free. "Are you already defending the Yuichin sect?" Wang Pal desperately cries out. "Baekjeom leader Nim." Blinded by fury and humiliation, the Baekjeom leader swings his deadly claws directly at his former disciple. "Traitors are to be executed on the spot." A deafening crash echoes across the courtyard. Dark, violent energy clashes against a sudden, overwhelming force, scattering sparks into the air. The dust clears to reveal the Yuichin sect leader, effortlessly blocking the strike with his scabbard. The Baekjeom leader's eyes widen in disbelief. "Yuichin sect leader?" The Yuichin leader's voice is ice cold. "What is the meaning of this, Baekjeom sect leader?" He steps protectively in front of the massive Wang Pal, laying down the law. "Wang Pal is now a disciple of the Yuichin sect. Do not treat him carelessly." With a sudden blur of motion, the Yuichin leader snatches the Baekjeom leader's wrist, a terrifying blue aura radiating from his crushing grip. "If you are unhappy with the result of the spar, I can face you myself." Bones creak and pop dangerously under the immense pressure. The Baekjeom leader's face contorts as he howls in agony. "Quarg." He grimaces, cold sweat pouring down his pale, trembling face. "Q-Huke." With a dismissive shove, the Yuichin leader tosses him aside like a discarded ragdoll. "Do whatever the hell you want." Wang Pal watches in awe. "Leader Nim?" The Yuichin leader glares down at the pathetic man nursing his arm. "I can't stand the sight of you. Get lost." Clutching his ruined wrist, the Baekjeom leader grinds his teeth, his eyes burning with sheer hatred. "Yuichin sect leader, I will never forget this humiliation." Once the nuisance finally retreats, the leader turns back to Wang Pal, his tone softening. "Do you still have lingering attachments?" Wang Pal lowers his head, deep doubt clouding his eyes. "No, sir. It's just that I wonder if someone talentless like me can start over from the beginning." The leader firmly places a reassuring hand on Wang Pal's broad shoulder. "You are already an excellent martial artist. You will definitely prove it." Memories of endless abuse and mockery flash through Wang Pal's mind. For years, he was belittled, called an empty husk, told he was nothing but brawn and no brains. Hot tears finally streamed down his scarred face. "Yuichin leader Nim." Clenching his fists with newfound resolve, Wang Pal cries out, "Thank you. I will work hard from now on." A glowing system window chimes into existence. Wang Pal has become the Yuechan Sect's second disciple. With that, an announcement was made. With this, we conclude the Beachin sparring tournament. The sect leader chuckled, "This is Lady Siowa, but he is taking all the credit." 2 peaceful weeks pass, bringing a gentle breeze beneath the bright, serene sky of the expansive Yuechan Sect manor. But peace doesn't mean rest. Wang Pal is drenched in sweat, his robust frame trembling as he holds an excruciatingly strict horse stance. Sister, aside from the horse stance, are we?" Before he can even finish, Siowa bursts into laughter, playfully smacking his back with a loud, stinging pop. "Ha, you called me sister, sister. Kiak, kiak." Posing with a hilarious air of absolute superiority, Siowa clears her throat. "The sect leader always said to prioritize the basics." Wang Pal groans under the physical strain. "Ah, yes. Brother Wang Pal, if you work hard without being impatient, you can become like me," Siowa boasts proudly, a 2-month trainee lecturing a man with 8 years of experience. Wang Pal forces a strained, awkward smile. "Haha, yes." Wang Pal rubs the back of his neck, chuckling as he flexes his impressive muscles. "Well, I'm still confident when it comes to using my body. Haha, haha." Siowa immediately points away. "Oh, Tilda, then you can go draw water by yourself." Wang Pal smiles warmly, happily accepting the chore. A system prompt floats nearby. Weaknesses: Kai sensitivity is significantly low. Yet his incredible physical frame and unwavering diligence more than make up for it. Across the sunlit courtyard, Wang Pal effortlessly hoists the younger disciples into the air, their cheerful laughter filling the estate. Watching from the doorway, the sect leader smirks to himself. "As expected, I saw him clearly." Wang Pal's talent lies in his understanding of techniques and his unwavering mind, the leader notes, thoroughly enjoying the wholesome scene. "And the stamina to back it all up." The leader nods to himself, practically radiating smugness over his own scouting abilities. First Seo Han and now Wang Pal. "Kiam, my eye for talent is really accurate." Later, the leader strolls down the halls with his trusty administrator, Yang. "How are the preparations for the opening ceremony coming along?" He smiles. "Thank you, Yang." Yang bows politely. "It's gone smoothly thanks to you." "Well, I'm the one investing, so don't mind me." The leader shrugs off the praise. Yang unrolls a thick ledger. "Anyway, perhaps thanks to the publicity from the tournament, we've received a ton of letters from people wanting to attend the ceremony. Oh, Tilda, the promotional effect is good, huh?" Suddenly, Yang's jovial expression vanishes. However, among them there was one order from the Murim Alliance. The leader stops dead in his tracks. "From the Murim Alliance?" The leader snatches the official scroll, his eyes silently darting across the elegant, threatening calligraphy. Suddenly, vicious, crackling blue energy surges from his tightening grip, his eyes widening in pure shock. "Beek Ryan." The scroll violently erupts into flames, disintegrating into ashes in his fiery grasp. It says to undergo a plagiarism evaluation for the basic gong regarding the Beekri clan. Plagiarism evaluation. The leader paces the room, fuming with righteous indignation. "It's been 15 years since I left the Beekri clan, and now they're doing this." He's acting unlike his old self. A dark, cynical smirk creeps across his face. "No, should I say that aiming for an opponent's opening is just like the Beekri clan? Damn it, just when I thought things were going too smoothly." He knows the truth deep in his bones. "Of course, the Yuechan Sect's martial arts are a culmination of my 15 years of enlightenment. There isn't a single trace of the Beekri clan's martial arts in it." He narrows his eyes at the looming shadow of the alliance. "However, if the Murim Alliance's evaluator decides to side with the Beekri clan, it will be difficult to avoid a plagiarism verdict." The horrific, soul-crushing reality sets in. The leader dramatically visualizes a tidal wave of golden coins slipping through his desperate fingers. "If I fail the plagiarism evaluation, I won't be able to pass on the martial arts, and of course I'll have to pay a huge amount in compensation. You tilde my money? This is important." Sweating bullets and visibly stressed, the leader mutters, "Even if I get reevaluated later, the standards will be even stricter than the first time." From behind, Wang Pal awkwardly peeks in. Leader Nim." Completely ignoring his disciple, the leader hurriedly storms out of the room, his mind racing. "I'll be going now." Yang blinks in utter confusion. Yes." The leader's thoughts spin like a hurricane. 10 to 1, they're obviously aiming for the opening ceremony. I need to check the differences in other sects' basic gong so they can't find fault with plagiarism. As many as possible. Basic gong from famous, well-known clans. He rubs his chin furiously, deep in thought. The problem is where to get that basic gong right now. He completely fails to notice Wang Pal trailing behind him, trying to get his attention. "Nim, dare Nim." Finally, losing his patience, Wang Pal screams, "Leader Nim!" The leader jumps out of his skin, startled out of his wits. "HM, what is it?" Wang Pal points frantically toward the main courtyard. "We have guests!" The leader blinks, his train of thought entirely derailed. Guests. Out in the entryway, a massive bald man wielding a comically giant sword is loudly knocking on the walls. "Wow, did that leader really buy this entire manor, that cheapskate?" Next to him, a small, terrifyingly stern girl sighs. "Don't touch it recklessly before I kill you." The leader strides out to the courtyard, raising a highly suspicious eyebrow at the bizarre duo. "Wait, you are." The giant man laughs a hearty, booming laugh. "It's been a long time, Leader Changchen." It's Namgung Wu and Cheng Ha from the elite Changchen Brigade. The young girl bows with perfect poise. "No, should I say Yuichen Leader Nim now?" Realization hits the leader like a lightning bolt. His shoulders begin to shake as a dark, menacing chuckle escapes his lips. "QQQQ." Siowa steps back, thoroughly creeped out by her master's sudden sinister aura. "El Leader Nim." A terrifyingly brilliant, chaotic grin stretches across the leader's face. The perfect counterattack has just fallen right into his lap. I might be able to flip this entire board." Meanwhile, far away, the imposing Grand Pagoda of the Bikri clan looms menacingly under the clouds. Back in his office, Young is pacing, his brow furrowed in deep, anxious concern. If it's a request from the Bikri clan with whom they have deep ties, the Murim Alliance will probably try to side with them. Should I pull out like this? But then a sly smile plays on his lips as he sets down his teacup. Is there a need to worry? This trial is on a different level. It's different from the likes of the Baekjeom sect. He mutters to himself. A different level, you say? Making a swift, bold decision, Yang calls out to his servant. "Hey, Gayam, I'm going to write a letter, so please send it." He quickly dips his brush in fresh ink, his eyes sharp with unwavering determination. "To where?" the servant asks. Yang doesn't even look up. "If we fear the influence of the Murim Alliance and the Bikri clan, it might be good to expand the board to match them. Let's try dragging heretics League Sado Rion as well." The camera pans over a grand traditional estate under a picturesque blue sky as an older man's stern voice cuts through the peaceful atmosphere. "You've been doing something unnecessary again, Outer Hall Master." Inside an opulent hall, a powerful warrior kneels before the seated clan head. The clan head questions smoothly. "An evaluation for basic technique plagiarism, for a sect that hasn't even been established yet." He adds, "Didn't we agree there was no need to stir up trouble?" The Outer Hall Master, Bikri Siang, also known as the Sword of the Blue Moon, lifts his gaze with fierce intensity. "Indeed, that's what you said, clan head. However, that was only your personal decision." Siang presses his case. The eldest Sian has no interest in martial arts, no talent either, and he's too soft. He continues, dismissing another heir. "San has excellent talent, but she's impatient, and more importantly, she's a girl." Clan head Bikri Kang calmly takes a sip from his teacup. Unfazed, he replies, "Even if she is, that doesn't disqualify her from inheriting the clan. There's no such rule in the Bikri clan." With a sharp metallic clack, Siang grips his scabbard tightly, his frustration boiling over. "Why did you let him leave the clan?" he demands. "Don't you treasure him?" Siang's voice echoes with passionate conviction as he remembers the brilliant young man. His talent, intelligence, and even his nature are exceptions. No one could ever complain about that child. Setting his cup down with a heavy sigh, the clan head mutters, "Indeed." Siang slams his fist against the floor. "We must show him where he truly belongs." The scene shifts to Siang kneeling before a massive gathering of stern-faced elders. He declares with roaring finality that his roots are here in Bikli Sega. He shouts, "That's the will of the elders and the outer hall." With a firm thud, clan head Kang places his cup onto the table, his expression hardening. "I've done all I can as his father. Growth requires hardship. He must learn to protect his sect from the grasp of others." Kang's eyes sharpen into a piercing glare. "Go, let him learn that wherever he goes, he still lives under Bikli Sega's sky." A heavy rumble vibrates through the hall as Siang rises to his feet, a dark shadow casting over his face. "I will bring Woon back to the clan, no matter what." Time skips forward to a bright, cloud-filled sky looming over a majestic courtyard. It is the day of the AWAKEN sect inauguration. An older, slightly goofy-looking man clears his throat with a smug grin. He is Li Su, the Martial Alliance's assistant military strategist. "Don't worry, so far no sect accused of plagiarizing basic arts has ever passed unscathed. Worry." Outer Hall Master Siang stands tall beside him, looking completely unfazed. "I'm not worried. I'll bring Woon back no matter what." Li Su matches Siang's heavy footsteps as they walk. "I don't understand your obsession with Bikli Woon. Even if he's talented, he's just a relative, isn't he?" Siang replies without missing a beat. "He's more than that." A stunning vision of Woon unsheathing his sword in a blinding flash of energy fills the screen. Seong continues. If Baek Lee Woon had stayed and continued to train in Baek Lee arts, he would have become the greatest swordsman of our time. Seong glares ahead with absolute certainty. He may have left the clan, but the clan still needs him. The massive gates of the estate loom ahead as heavy drumbeats echo through the air like rolling thunder. Seong thinks to himself, now tell me, how will you answer the call of your bloodline, Baek Lee Woon? With a resounding boom, the grand doors swing wide open. Open the gates. As the final, resonant beat of the drum fades, Woon steps into view, the wind gently rustling his dark clothes as he faces the massive crowd. Suddenly, a holographic system window chimes with a crisp ping. User heart rate rising, recommend deep breathing. Woon just smirks, whispering maliciously, be quiet. With a sharp whoosh of air, Woon leaps high into the sky, wielding a massive halberd and soaring over the stunned onlookers. He descends like a meteor, screaming, Heaven's Gate! He slams into the center of the arena with a catastrophic explosion that kicks up a massive shockwave of dust. Sweeping his weapon in a wide arc with a blinding flash, Woon yells, ha! The powerful gust of wind washes over the audience, causing even Seong and Lee Su to flinch back. Woon lands with a solid, echoing thud, proudly planting the base of his grand, dragon-crested flag onto the stone floor. The white flag snaps sharply in the wind as Woon addresses the massive crowd. Thank you all for gathering here today. I am Baek Lee Woon, Sect leader of AWAKEN. Before anything else, I have something to say to everyone here. Woon smiles, his absolute confidence bordering on arrogance. Before we open, there's a matter that must be settled first. For those who haven't yet heard, let me clarify. He takes a deep, dramatic breath, letting the silence hang heavy. The AWAKEN sect. His voice booms like a cracking thunderclap, shocking everyone into silence. 31. Has plagiarized Baek Lee Saga's martial arts. The crowd immediately erupts. What? One man yells, while another slaps his forehead in sheer disbelief. What's he saying at his own inauguration? Frantic murmurs ripple through the stunned audience. Did he just admit it himself? A mysterious hooded figure grins wickedly from the shadows. The hooded man lets out a dark, menacing chuckle, revealing a row of clenched teeth. This is getting interesting, hey hey. Seong looks on, mildly confused but satisfied. Baek Lee hero looks like AWAKEN's sect leader has given up. Things just got easier. But Seong narrows his eyes, sensing a trap. It looks different from where I'm standing. Woon stands with his back to the crowd, the flag whipping wildly in the wind. He looks back over his shoulder with a sly, infuriating smirk. Seong glares daggers at him, thinking, what are you thinking, Woon? Suddenly, Woon calls out across the restless crowd. I believe there's a Martial Alliance audit team present today. Would you please step forward? Panic spreads as they whisper. The Martial Alliance. An intimidating warrior steps forward with a soft sliding sound. It's been a while, Sect leader Woon. The crowd gasps, that's Changwal's sword, isn't he Baek Lee Saga's top expert? Changwal's sword stomps toward the arena, his boots crunching heavily. Care to explain your little scheme? Woon waves his hand dismissively. Nothing complicated. Woon grins widely. I intend to undergo a plagiarism verification here in front of everyone. The crowd is completely floored. Changwal's sword steps heavily forward, his voice roaring with anger. A verification right here? He yells. Normally such trials are handled privately after careful review. It's standard not to reveal the results until the judgment is finalized. Lee Su, the goofy strategist, nervously steps in. Baek Lee hero, this gathering was meant for the Alliance to mediate between the two sects, not for you to press charges against AWAKEN. Changwal grinds his teeth. Changwal stomps his foot with a sharp clack, yielding reluctantly. Fine, but in front of the Alliance's smaller sects. The Martial Alliance can't afford to appear biased, he declares. I'll take control of this. With the entire audience watching on edge, Woon stands ready. Shall we begin? Changwal nods curtly. Proceed. Woon lunges forward, leaving a blinding trail of energy. This is one of our two basic arts, the Chengong Blue Art. With a sharp, tearing swish, he executes a flawless strike. Chengong Blue Art, revised and deepened, first form heaven, earth, and man. A massive, radiant shockwave erupts as he leaps through the air, his blade slicing the wind to ribbons. Lee Su strokes his chin, watching intently. Ho, that's the one accused of plagiarizing Baek Lee Saga's martial art. A master nearby confirms. Yes, it draws from the triad of heaven, earth, and man. Woon lands gracefully with a crisp slide, holding his blade firmly. I see, that does seem true, Changwal muses, and at the same time. Woon glances back, his eyes glowing with a piercing, ethereal blue light. It also imitates Namgung Saga's techniques. The crowd collectively gasps. Woon casually sheathes his sword. Upon further inspection, 23 of AWAKEN's basic arts show similarities to countless sects' martial arts. Li Su waves his hands in sheer panic, completely flustered. What? W8? That's absurd. Woon raises an eyebrow, mocking him effortlessly. Which part exactly do you find absurd? The strategist stammers, sweating profusely. There's no one from the other sects present to confirm these claims. Who's to judge what's plagiarism or not? Woon confidently raises his hand into the air with a swift swoosh, silencing the official. Ah, but there is. The crowd murmurs in utter confusion. What? Someone in the crowd shouts, isn't that Namgung's little ghost? A fierce-looking monk-like warrior violently shoves his way through the masses. Step aside. From another side, a cheerful girl raises her hand high. Over here, Wudang Sect's here too. The crowd is baffled. Wudang So Janwal, even King Hadojo came. Li Su aggressively scratches his head, losing his mind. Why would they all be here instead of at Changchendi? The monk casually replies, we had a nearby mission, and since it was your inauguration, we decided to stop by. The monk nods thoughtfully as a vivid image of a scythe-wielding warrior slicing through the air flashes by. Anyway, it's true, the forms are similar. Our Namgung clan's boundless art begins from earth, forms man, and ascends to heaven, the same principle of heaven, earth, and man. The cheerful girl from Wudang steps up, handing a large wooden box to Changwal. Wudang agrees as well, and take a look at this. Changwal stares at it cautiously. What's that? She opens the box with a soft rustle, revealing a massive stack of papers. Letters from other sects too, confirming suspicions of plagiarism in Iachen's basic arts. The crowd is totally paralyzed by the revelation. The girl's eyes glow with a mischievous, terrifying intensity. So then, even Beek Lee Sega's basic arts, supposedly plagiarized by Iachin, are themselves entangled with other sects' techniques. The truth hits the onlookers like a physical blow. Changwal violently reads the letter, roaring in denial. That's ridiculous. The monk tilts his head, completely unimpressed. Is it? Changwal furiously throws the letter into the wind, screaming, but isn't that exactly what Beek Lee Sega is claiming? He shouts, because the Heaven-Earth Man forms overlap, it's plagiarism. The monk shakes his head. No way. The monk's expression turns deadly serious, his eyes bulging in pure, unfiltered disbelief. The Great Martial Alliance's review panel is inventing reasons. Are you seriously saying that? A crumpled official document trembles furiously in a reader's hands. What did you say? The official response ruthlessly exposes the hypocrisy. Regarding the sections of the basic techniques you sent, we confirm there is overlap with works from your sect. Woon's masterclass trap has perfectly closed on them all. Changwal's face was now burning with anger. Uncle Changwal's eyes widen in disbelief as he stares down the seemingly unassuming Beek Ryan. How could you have verified all of this one by one? He stammers, panic creeping into his voice. Don't tell me. You spread the basic technique through letters. Ryan merely offers a calm, slightly condescending smile. I've already said everything I wanted to say. Now it's your turn to answer, Lord Changwal. Pushing the pressure, Ryan steps forward, his gaze unwavering. The moment they admit to plagiarism, the Beekri clan's basic technique will be entangled with those of 23 sects. Would Uncle really take such a risk to push this through? Provoked and trembling with rage, Changwal grips the hilt of his weapon. Is this all you've got? With a sharp, ringing hiss of steel, Changwal hoists his gargantuan sword onto his shoulder, his eyes glowing with dangerous intent. He brings the heavy blade crashing down in a brutal arc. Ryan effortlessly raises his own sword, catching the monstrous strike in a blinding flash of colliding aura. Watching from the sidelines, his disciples panic as the shockwave hits them. Lord, they scream, terrified for their young leader. Fighting against the crushing weight of the older man's attack, Ryan grits his teeth and barks back. Don't come closer. The two blades grind together with an ear-piercing screech of strained metal. Despite the immense pressure, a confident smirk touches Ryan's lips. This is my personal matter. Changwal roars, throwing his entire weight into the clash. No matter what anyone says, you are the blood of the Beekri clan and the pillar who will lead its future. Do you still cling to that attachment? Sparks fly violently as they trade fierce, echoing blows. You're the one who clings to it, Ryan shoots back, parrying a heavy swing. Do you still resent the clan? The training ground erupts into a flurry of blindingly fast strikes, each impact sending shockwaves through the air. Because we didn't avenge you, Changwal bellows defensively. I understand if you think we're a pathetic clan that couldn't even protect your mother. However, channeling an immense surge of energy, Changwal leaps into the air, his massive sword radiating a terrifying, violent aura. If you intend to bring ruin upon the Beekri clan, then I will. A thunderous explosion of brilliant blue and white light engulfs the courtyard as their strongest strikes collide, shattering the very ground beneath them. With a harsh, grinding screech against the pavement, Changwal is sent skidding violently backward across the torn earth, a pained grunt escaping his lips. Q. The dust finally settles, revealing the old warrior kneeling heavily against his sword. Unfazed and standing tall, Ryan speaks softly into the silence. I have no intention of denying my own blood. Casually sliding his blade back into its scabbard, Ryan looks down at his uncle. It'd be a lie to say I hold no resentment, but I've managed to let most of it go. Still catching his breath, Changwal demands weakly, then why won't you return? Because as the sect leader, I must become stronger on my own, Ryan replies, his voice resolute and unshakable. I'm not the same person I was when I stormed out of the Bikri clan. Defeated but still desperately stubborn, Changwal remains planted in the fractured earth. How long do you think you can endure? If the main family tries to pressure you, even a small sect like this one. Ryan casually wipes his cheek, offering a triumphant, knowing smirk. I'm always prepared to withstand it, just like I did this time. Changwal's eyes go wide as a sudden realization hits him like a physical blow, triggering a wave of long-buried nostalgia as cheers echo in his mind. In his mind's eye, a vibrant memory plays out. He sees a much younger, spirited Ryan charging at him playfully with a wooden training sword, yelling, "Uncle." The young Ryan points to a bruise on his cheek, beaming with absolute pride. Did you see that? I finally took one of your strikes head-on. The memory echoes with Changwal's own booming laughter ringing from off-screen. Ha ha ha, fine then, take another one, Wuna. Snapping back to the present, Changwal kneels in silence, overwhelmed by the weight of the past as the ghostly echo of the boy's frantic, "Yua, uncle, wait," fades away. Taking a seat across from the defeated older man, Ryan speaks with quiet, undeniable authority. As the lord of the Yuichin sect, I'll say this, uncle. The basic techniques and martial arts of our sect are not plagiarized from any other sect. His expression softens into a warm, genuine smile. And as a nephew of the Bikri clan, I ask that you wait just a little longer. One day I'll make everything clear. At those words, the hardened old warrior closes his eyes and finally lets out a soft, relieved chuckle. With a renewed sense of pride, Changwal stands tall, hefting his massive sword with a swift, commanding motion. Sir Bikri. Turning his gaze to the stunned onlookers, his booming voice echoes across the courtyard. I, Bikri Siang, outer lord of the Bikri clan and younger brother to the current clan head, declare in the name of Changwal. He declares with absolute, unshakable finality. The Yuichin sect has not plagiarized the martial arts of the Bikri clan. The Yuichin disciples erupt into joyous, roaring cheers. Watching from the shadows, a cloaked figure chuckles darkly. I thought I might lend a hand if it looked too tough, but it seems you don't need any help after all. The old man sure picked the right person. The cloaked man turns to a quiet woman wearing a bamboo hat. You're noisy, old man, she states flatly. He barks back with a grin. Hey now, you little brat. I went out of my way to come all the way here from Hwangryong Hall. An unsettling, pulsing aura oozes from the man as his smile widens beneath his hood. Still, to think the entire training ground itself is like a divine weapon. It's absurd, really. You're more interesting than I expected, the young lord of the demonic path murmurs, deeply amused by the young sect leader's impossible feat. With a sinister whoosh, his body dissolves into a cloud of thick, shadowy mist. I'll head out first. Left behind, the Hwangryong Hall disciple watches Ryan intently, her piercing eyes narrowing beneath her hat. That person. Seeing Ryan being playfully tackled by his overjoyed disciples, she mentally claims him. My first trading partner. A glowing blue system screen suddenly materializes in the air, starting the Sect system. The scene transitions from the triumphant battleground to the peaceful, sunny rooftops of the Grand Martial Alliance. But things back at the Yuichin sect are suddenly anything but peaceful. A blue-haired disciple stares forward in utter, soul-crushing despair. I can't believe this. The courtyard is devastatingly empty. Only the soft scratching of a broom breaks the silence as a disciple sweeps, while Ryan slumps dramatically in the background, a portrait of pure depression. Not a single initiate. The initiation ceremony's over, and it's been 3 days without a single newcomer. Ryan shakes uncontrollably, gripping his calligraphy brush so tight it threatens to snap in half, while the system hilariously blares a warning about his irregular heart rate. Keep your composure, the girl tries to soothe him. You shouldn't get shaken over something like this. Lord, your brush is going to break. She sighs, trying to inject some much-needed logic into the situation. How exactly can we recruit disciples? Either when the sect's reputation is strong enough to be trusted without doubt, or when it's earned public confidence by contributing to the community for years. Completely ignoring her sound, rational advice, Ryan mutters desperately. Should I go out and advertise on the streets? Instead of handing out flyers, he aggressively shoves a freshly rolled scroll into the chest of the sweeping disciple. Rather than that, deliver this to Han Trading Company. The poor guy recoils in shock. What? Me? Ryun's despair vanishes, replaced by a mischievous, scheming smirk as he rapidly paints characters onto a new piece of parchment. "What's this?" the blue-haired girl asks, dreading the answer. "A way to take in disciples," he declares cryptically. She peeks over the edge of the freshly written document, her eyes widening to the size of saucers at the absurd request boldly written across it. Meanwhile, at the Murim Pavilion, Martial Alliance instructor Yi-gun is briefed on a highly pressing issue. The disciples of the Murim Pavilion have submitted a request to reject the training. Yi-gun strokes his mustache thoughtfully, listening to his assistant's frantic report. "Reject it? Why?" the assistant sighs. "You know the reason, don't you? The graduation sparring competition is coming up soon, and they claim the training program is unfair." The assistant explains the deep-seated, toxic rivalry. The Martial Alliance is harshly divided between the Murim Pavilion, boasting prestigious clans, and the Mujung Pavilion, home to small sects. Isn't the standard for dividing the academies far too unequal from the start? Well, from the outside, it might look like Murim Pavilion is falling behind, but they still have disciples of renowned masters, and the matches have been fairly even, haven't they? However, this class is different. The assistant sweats nervously as he recalls the current Mujung disciples, a bunch of intimidating, battle-hardened prodigies. The disciples of Mujung Pavilion this time are exceptionally skilled. The Murim Pavilion disciples have been losing every match for 3 years straight, and their morale is at rock bottom. So they'd rather refuse the training altogether, Yi-gun muses. What about the Murim Pavilion master? He's being told to dissuade them, but it seems he is subtly siding with them. Well, if he's been outmatched by the Mujung Pavilion master for 3 years straight, it's natural he'd want to save face somehow, the assistant notes sympathetically. What will you do? Right on cue, a messenger bird lands gracefully on the windowsill with a soft tap, offering a small rolled-up note. Yi-gun unrolls the message, his eyes scanning the contents. A decisive, uncompromising look crosses his face. Assistant Instructor Jegel HWI, round up all the Murim Pavilion disciples. Holding the letter up, he delivers his unyielding verdict. The training will proceed as scheduled. His assistant gapes in disbelief. What? Deep in the remote, craggy mountains near Hwayong County, the sound of agonizing groans fills the chilly night air. Erg. Murim Pavilion disciple Sion Wu-gang violently gasps for air, collapsing onto the ground, thoroughly exhausted and humiliated by the grueling journey. Inside a cramped, rustic cabin, the pampered disciples wheeze and struggle to catch their breath on the simple beds. "Ha, ha." A stern voice cuts through the pathetic groans. "How long do you plan to keep disgracing my name?" Wu-gang clicks his tongue in sheer annoyance. Seeking an escape from the nagging, Wu-gang wanders out to the campfire where his fellow disciple, Sion Munchiak, is quietly reading. "It's not your turn yet. Grow stronger first," Munchiak comments dryly without looking up. Wu-gang slumps down heavily by the fire. "I couldn't sleep. Nothing unusual happened, right?" Guilt eats at him and he hangs his head in shame. "I'm sorry." Munchiak finally closes his book, looking at his friend with concern. "What do you mean?" Wu-gang sighs. "About this training. It's my fault. I was the one who encouraged everyone to refuse," Wu-gang confesses, clenching his fist. "That's probably why we were sent to train at some nameless sect as punishment." Munchiak offers a reassuring smile. "It doesn't matter. If you really can't stand it, we can always pressure the sect leader we're assigned to. That's a bit much. We have to go that far for them to take our opinions seriously." Munchiak stands, dusting himself off. "Anyway, it's about time for the shift change. Let's switch. You should get some sleep too." Wu-gang nods slowly. "Maybe I will." Suddenly, a towering, ominous silhouette emerges from the tree line directly behind them. Both boys jolt into a battle stance, pure panic flashing in their eyes as they draw their weapons into the night. "Who's there?" With a smooth, ghostly step, the figure enters the firelight, revealing a dangerously calm Beak Ryun. "Good evening, Murim Pavilion disciples," he greets, his voice dripping with terrifying authority. "I am Beak Ryun, sect leader of the Yuichin sect." With a sharp metallic ring, Ryun draws a simple wooden training sword, casting a long, intimidating shadow over the flickering campfire. "We'll now begin your entrance trial." He raises his head, a predatory gleam flashing in his eyes. The rule is simple. The two prestigious disciples tense up instantly, cold sweat trickling down their faces as they tightly grip their pristine blades. Ryun raises a single finger, laying down his impossibly arrogant condition. "As long as even one of you sets foot past the Yuichin sect's gate, you pass." Outraged by the sheer audacity, Wu-gang launches himself forward with an explosive burst of speed. "All Murim Pavilion disciples, prepare for battle." He unleashes a ferocious, swirling torrent of sword aura, aiming directly for Ryun in a massive, blinding downward strike. The very next instant, Wu Gang's eyes bulge out of his skull, saliva flying from his gaping mouth as a sickening, invisible impact reverberates through his entire being. With a heavy thud, Wu Gang collapses to his knees, utterly defeated in the blink of an eye. As Munchiok screams his name in sheer terror, Ryun simply stands there, his wooden sword casually resting at his side, waiting for the real training to begin. Then he said, "That is, if you can manage to escape from me unharmed." Near Mount Wudang in Hubei province, whispers begin to circulate. "Have you heard the news from Marion Hall?" a voice asks into the peaceful scenery. Two men trudge through the forest, carrying large bundles. "The new training site for Marion Hall, they say," one remarks. "A newly formed sect no one's ever heard of before. What was the name again?" "I'm not interested," a stoic young man replies, his heavy bag slung casually over his shoulder. "No matter where it is, it's meaningless. The Martial Alliance must have tried to keep things balanced somehow. Who knows, maybe it's some nameless master." A girl with short hair, hauling her own heavy pole, mutters with steely determination. "It's all the same. No matter where they go, I'll win." A faded memory suddenly haunts her mind. A bead bracelet slips from her grasp. "I'm sorry," a man's voice echoes as his figure retreats into the bright light. She reaches out, crying, "Brother, where are you going?" "Brother," the young girl's hand stretches desperately toward the glowing doorway, trying to stop him from leaving. But he has already gone, leaving the little girl weeping on the floor next to the discarded red bead bracelet. Back in the present, Beek Listen, the younger sister of Beek Leon, grips her weapon tightly. "Until I find out why my brother abandoned the clan, I have no intention of losing." Suddenly, the peaceful forest erupts into a violent clash. With a sharp ringing of steel, our supposedly nameless master deflects an incoming sword strike with a cocky grin. The master leaps backward with a swift whoosh, landing gracefully as two bruised disciples try to catch their breath. "Ho ho, not bad," he chuckles, clearly enjoying himself. One of the exhausted students rushes to his fallen comrade. "Xian Wu Gang, are you okay?" The master casually points his wooden blade at the newcomer. "What's your name?" The man grips his staff fiercely. "My name is Seo Munchiok. Are you the leader of Yuichin Sect?" he yells. "Then why are you attacking us?" A sly, almost sadistic smile creeps across the master's face. "You could say it's part of my teaching method. Before I teach, I need to understand who I'm teaching." He casually rests his blade on his shoulder. "I said that anyone who reaches Yuichin Sect will pass the entrance test." Seo Munchiok glares back. "Then what happens if we fail the test?" With an explosive burst of speed, the master lunges forward. "If you can't even pass such a simple entrance trial," he declares. He effortlessly parries 3 simultaneous attacks in a dizzying flurry of metallic clashes. "There's no need to send you to the martial tournament at all. Until all the matches are over, I'll have all of you bound hand and foot and locked in a warehouse." With a heavy sweeping strike, the master sends them stumbling. "That means you'll lose without even a chance to fight." Seo Munchiok's eyes widen in sheer panic. "Wait." But the master isn't listening. A deafening clang rings out as a massive wave of energy forces the disciples back. Xian Wugang grits his teeth behind his sword, his eyes burning with sudden resolve. Then, Scon Wugang. The disciples regroup, surrounding their insane new teacher with a rustle of movement. "If we defeat you right here," Wugang declares, a confident smirk replacing his earlier dread, "does that mean we'll pass the entrance exam too?" The master just closes his eyes and smiles. "Fine, come at me then." The trio leaps into the air with a powerful rustle of clothing. "A wise decision," the master taunts calmly. A thunderous impact shakes the forest. The master strikes with devastating force, sending Wugang flying back with an agonizing AARGH. The master lands smoothly, his gaze piercing. "If your opponent wasn't me, maybe that would have worked." Wugang stares back, completely stunned. The 3 disciples are already on their knees, panting heavily in the dirt. The master just sighs. "Ha! Where did all that confidence go?" he mocks, effortlessly dodging another desperate swing. "You freeze up from a tiny bit of pressure and can't even attack." The master steps in close with blinding speed. "Fine." With a heavy thud, he drives his elbow straight into Wu Gang's chest. "Xian Wu Gang, was it? For all your spirit, you feel oddly restrained." A soft sliding sound echoes as the master dances through the battlefield, dodging with terrifying ease. He pivots sharply, unleashing a massive gust of wind with his blade. "Dan Ryon." Ryon watches in utter horror as the master's strike cleanly slices through thick wooden logs right beside her face. The master turns his analytical gaze to the spear wielder. "Seo Munchiok, huh?" Munchiok thrusts his spear forward with a heavy whoosh. Quick to assess the situation, must have had a lot of real battle experience. Sparks fly as the master effortlessly deflects a flurry of rapid spear thrusts. "Everyone's too tense, too much strength in their movements," the master assesses coolly. He delivers a punishing blow that echoes with a heavy smack, sending the disciples reeling. The master stands tall amidst the groaning students, entirely unbothered. They're not using their numbers at all. He glares specifically at Wu Gang, who halts his strike midair. Especially you, Xian Wu Gang, right? You're hesitating, are you? Worried I'll get hurt with that level of skill. Everyone sees him and he thought, overall, not terrible among the three of you. These ones stand out the most. Then the master literally facepalms at the sheer absurdity of it. Then maybe I'll provoke you a little more. While adjusting his hairs, he said, I am deeply disappointed in you all just facing an unexpected opponent, and you turn into a disorganized mess. He grabs Wu Gang by the collar, pulling him close. So it's true you're trapped in defeatism. Wu Gang grits his teeth, furiously muttering, damn it. Munchiak places a reassuring hand on Wu Gang's shoulder. Listen well, Xian Wu Gang. You handle defense, Munchiak whispers strategically. He talks tough, but he's adjusting to our rhythm. We can use that, the three of us can create an opening. An intimidating, monstrous silhouette of the master looms ominously in their minds. When that opening comes, I'll widen it, Munchiak continues, sweating under the pressure. Dan Ryan, you finish it. The master lunges from above like a bird of prey. So you've finally decided to fight back, huh? But it's too late, he's coming. With a deafening clash, Wu Gang intercepts the master's heavy overhead swing. The master's eyes narrow as Wu Gang drives his blade into the earth, grounding himself against the crushing weight. A thunderous explosion blasts through the clearing, sending shockwaves through the soil as the disciples scramble. The master slides backward, genuinely impressed. Ho, a coordinated attack, is it? They try to attack him at the same time, but he ducked and gets saved. But the gap in strength is too wide. A violent collision sends shockwaves into the air as the disciples scream, ah! A massive gust of energy throws the trio back across the ruined training ground. Wu Gang slides to a halt, struggling to stay upright. Damn it! The master blitzes past him in a blur. In a battle against a master, what you must fear most is familiarity. To charge in believing I won't use full strength against you. How naive. With a brutal echoing smash, the master slams Wu Gang to the dirt. Guh, the master scoffs. Seems I expected too much from you all. I had hoped at least one of you had a spark of martial talent. The master turns his back on the defeated boy. It's over. A promise is a promise. Suddenly a crackling sound fills the air. Wu Gang's eyes snap open, glowing with a sinister crimson light. The master spins around as violently surging red energy erupts from Wu Gang's body, slicing through the air like bloody whips. The master's cocky smile returns, wider than before. Now this is unexpected. That's a familiar technique. A terrifying aura of dark red blood chi surrounds Wu Gang. The master recognizes it immediately. The great blood Sect's grand, dead sword form. A demonic martial art. Wu Gang breathes heavily, his eyes fully crimson, completely overtaken by the demonic technique. Risking your life just to pass the training, the master mutters, his amusement peaking. He readies his wooden blade, his own aura bursting forth to meet the challenge. Fine, show me everything you've got. Wu Gang launches forward with a monstrous roar, his red aura clashing against the master's blade in a shower of sparks. A massive cross-shaped blast of blood chi tears through the forest as the master steps back to absorb the sheer weight of the attack. The master's blade hums and vibrates from the intense pressure of the demonic energy. Wu Gang relentlessly presses the assault, screaming like a wild beast. The master's eyes widen in genuine awe. This brat, incredible talent. Watching the blood-soaked kid rage, the master can only let out a dark, booming laugh. Ha ha ha! A translucent blue system window suddenly materializes before the master's eyes. The lust index has risen for the first time in a while. With a smiling face, he thought, this one, I want him.